Welcome, everybody, to the very last Wednesday Night Modern of the year. My name is Aviva Goodman, alongside the lovely Dominic Striker. How you doing tonight, Dom?
I'm doing lovely.
It's exciting. We're back in the booth. Final time of this year. It is a kind of balmy winter night for us here in Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
Yeah, classic 50-degree Illinois, right?
Classic, classic. We got you started off with a good match here. We got Sam on a time sieve combo and Hunter on a classic Murktide, and a classic play from him will be a Ragavan on turn one.
I was so disappointed for those folks who tuned in last week. Hunter was playing a intriguing version of Is It Creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, oh yeah, run it back. Classic Murktide instead.
There you go. Maybe it wasn't too. I think he did all right
Yeah,
last
Hunter
week.
did well. I believe when I was chatting with them that this is their I'd like to win
Mm-hmm.
version, right? So if you show up with your Ragavans and your Murktide Regents, I think your win percentage probably goes up.
I think so. I think you get a couple percentage points there. Sam on a little bit of a weird brew though for our spice in round one here. He's just starting off with an underworld cookbook. We'll see what else he's cooking with though, as Hunter casts a Dragon's Rage Channeler into a preordain.
What's really important if you're a hunter is you are learning turn by turn what Sam is playing.
Mm-hmm.
Sam is seeing a Spire Bluff Canal, a DRC, and a Ragavan. You can go, my opponent is playing Izimurktide.
Right.
But Hunter has seen a breeding pool and Underworld Cookbook, an atypical combination of cards. We are used to seeing a cookbook alongside maybe a Rakdos mana base, but starting off with breeding pool would give me a lot of pause trying to figure out not only what my opponent is playing, but what color combinations. And the only thing I know is they have played Underworld Cookbook, so I'm on the hunt for Asmo. Blah, 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 blah. Will most likely be in the deck and will be found some way. And because I'm seeing this green mana, I'm expecting cards like Saren's Steelseeker,
Mm-hmm.
Gilded Goose, Finale of Devastation.
It's been a while since we've had an Underworld Cookbook deck on stream. I think the last one we had was Archie when he was rocking a hollow one, sort
Mm-hmm.
of cycling and discard esque deck.
And the other time we saw it was the last time Sam decided to grace us and play and played this exact deck that last time then.
Right, yeah, we had to get it on camera again. It's a fun one to see work its magic. As we'll go back to Hunter's turn here. Life totals at 13, 17 apiece. Couple lands for each of our players. And what does this creature on Sam's side of the board do? I'm not quite familiar with it.
When an artifact comes into play, you can look at the top card of your library,
Mm-hmm.
and then I believe you have a choice of leaving it on top or milling that card.
What's the name of it?
Something Steel Seeker. The first part's a made up word. Sarenth. But very.
Sarenth. Yeah, it's from Brothers War. There's a bunch of cards there
Oh,
with
I'm
the name
sorry.
Sarenth.
And if it's a land, you can reveal it and put into your hand. So it's kind of a pseudo explorer.
Interesting. Before that, no, because Ixalan came before and had that keyword. So a little bit differently there. I think we're all responding to a bolt on the stack targeting the Steel Seeker.
Yep, and we see Sam here discarding a very important card for them in this Academy Manufactor,
Mm-hmm.
which is a part of the overall combo, which I'll explain just here in a moment. But I think what Sam is recognizing is when you play against Murktide, a lot of your permanents don't stay in play, right? A lot of these
Absolutely.
creatures aren't going to survive. So it's going to be hard for them to put 2, 3, 4 cards together to create a combo, and learning that Manufactor might be too much and nothing, and instead discarding that to start your engine going.
Yeah, Hunter will get in for some more damage here. Rip a Finale of Devastation off the top of Sam's deck. Does he run more than one in his deck? Is that a troubling thing to see out of your deck?
I see one in Sam's hand alongside this Unearth, most likely targeting the manufacturer, getting value on both sides of this cookbook, right? We discarded it, and now we're just going to try to bring it right back.
Murktide got a bunch of counter spells though, and we'll see a Spell Pierce here in response to the Unearth.
And I think Sam might be okay with this because this was kind of our bait spell. I imagine we're on the hunt for a green source here. We have an additional copy of Finale of Devastation in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and a Finale for 0 will find Asmo and put it directly into play.
I see, I see. So yeah, letting the Spell Pierce resolve, not going to pay for it, even though we do have 2 mana up, and then use those 2 green sources to cast our other Finale in hand.
Or we may be cracking this fetch and with it on the stack with the intent of paying for this.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what Sam chooses to do here, though.
It's gone. Finale for 0. And now Hunter is either forced to use their treasure, but instead we see a very quick resolution. And Asmo found casting this, finding it for its casting cost of 0, and finding a second cookbook.
We're going to shortcut there so we don't have to shuffle in between.
Yeah, so this is very interesting because typically when you see someone cast an Asmo, they need to do so with the ability paying the hybrid black or red to cast the spell. But if you look in the top right corner, no casting cost. So doing this finale for x equals 0, we can find something that costs nada, nothing at all, and find this Asmo and get our free 3/3.
The bottom text of Asthma is also really relevant against a potential Murktide that might come down at some point here. If you sacrifice 2 foods, a target creature deals 6 damage to itself, which cleans up most Murktides.
Right, yeah. Depending on how greedy or how big they made it, but a lot of times just going through a game, a Murktide will get maybe 3 or 4 counters,
Mm-hmm.
and that 3 will be that sweet spot where Asmo can take care of it. But the flip side is that Bolt can take care of the Asmo, it's gone, and Hunter is able to rumble in with the Ragavan and this DRC.
Gonna rip another Asthma off the top with this attack from Ragavan. Take Sam down to 4 life here to Hunter's 17. See if Sam can claw his way back here. Put another Academy manufacturer on the stack and get countered by Hunter, and we'll scoop it up there. Hunter will take down game 1,
Yeah,
and we'll
this
go to
is
sideboards.
this is the strength of Is It Murktide. Uh, this deck is the one to punish if you're trying to do something a little fun, a little fancy, a little off
Mm-hmm.
the wall. The combination of bolt, counterspells, and a fast clock means your clock needs to be even faster. And we saw that killer combo of just remove important pieces, counter a few times, get in for damage. The classic Murktide strategy, very hard for any off the wall.
Now, this is a deck list that we have pulled off of MTG Goldfish. Hunter wasn't able to submit his deck list tonight, so we're just looking at a stock list. I do know, though, he does not have Stern Scoldings in his sideboard. He was looking for him for tonight, was not able to find
The
them.
insider info.
Yeah, absolutely. Could have been a little relevant here. Let me think. What are the stats on Academy Manufacturer? Is a 2/2, I believe.
Yeah, definitely very easily killable, boltable. If we
Mm-hmm.
have these sort of pieces on our board, such as an engineered explosive or a dress down, explosives are nice because they can clean up a lot of tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you know that your opponent is trying to make all these foods, you saw Academy manufacturers, so they're trying to make even more of all the different types. This can allow you to clean that up. And dress down will make things very difficult. Just your Asmo can no longer do the kill condition. The manufacturer won't be able to make all those tokens. Steel Seeker won't say anything. And Murktide really just needs to buy a turn or two and make sure to deal with your problems before they can quickly kill you.
Absolutely. We saw how quickly they killed Sam there in game 1, so they'll be looking to do the same here. Do we have a deck list to look at for what Sam might be working with here? We got an approximation.
So a very important part that you'll see is a difference between this one is your classic kind of green red, more of the mainstream. Our player today is playing a Sultai version that has the card Time Sieve in it. So you saw up on the name, we said Time Combo. On top of having this very highly interactive Asmo package with the Underworld cookbooks and these finales, they're additionally trying to add one more piece alongside these manufacturers to be able to take infinite turns. So on top of all of that, I imagine at a minimum, an important part that's similar between the deck you see now and the deck that they're playing is these Urza sagas and most likely some targets in the board for different bullets that you want to bring in. So that'll be important. Some of the ones we see here may not be too relevant, but they may have ones that they've brought just to take care of Murktide proper.
Yeah, we'll see how they stack up in game 2 here as we get back down to the action. Players are shuffling up here, and Sam will be on the play in game 2.
And it's another feather in the cap for if Hunter has dress downs in their sideboard. Dress down is one of the best cards against Urza Saga.
Mm-hmm.
In order to make those constructs have no ability, just become flat 0/0s and be forced to sacrifice them. You can imagine, based on the cards you saw at Sam's deck, that's very likely that they have Urza Saga as well.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty strong card in the deck. It can grab some pretty important pieces here.
Right, it's great because at a minimum, it can grab your cookbook and make you 2/4/4s.
Right.
And that's quite the combination that your land can do for you.
Absolutely, yeah. If Sam had had a couple of creatures there just to block with, he would have been able to stay in the game a little bit longer. The Dragon's Rage channel, I believe, was delirious and smacking in with flying. But that Ragavan stays on the ground. And,
Right.
and it doesn't have, it's a 2/1, so its stats aren't too scary.
Right, which is a part of the reason why we deal with the Steel Seeker in the first game, is it could have generated a small amount of value and then trade off with the Ragavan. So we used a high-level card like a Lightning Bolt to deal with a maybe not so high-level card to continue the Ragavan beats.
Both players will shock in their first land of the game. Sam will start with an Underworld Cookbook. Hunter will start with the Dragon's Rage Channeler and a Bauble triggering a Surveil.
Sam, I see, seems to have a lot of classic cards that they had in the first game, but here we have the sweet spot of having this Oval Chase Daredevil, which says if an artifact comes into play, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand, allowing you to just loop over and over again with these cookbooks. And I see Sam looks like we also brought in Spell Pierce. I assume that
Mm.
might be a card that we don't quite have room for in the main, but could be very impactful brought in as a sideboard card here against Hunter.
Yeah, we don't have any blue mana available yet. I'm trying to see if he's got perhaps a fetch in his hand. There's a card on the very far left there that might be a land. But currently he has no blue mana available to him to cast that Spell Pierce.
Right. Instead, we're more incentivized to get this Urza Saga down as soon as we possibly can, so that we can get the value from it. That's 3 turns from now, and possibly turn into a couple of constructs. So this kind of eats up our next couple of turns, but forces a lot out of Hunter.
Hunter will cast a preordain here, triggering his Dragon's Channeler once again. And I'd like to point out his Teddy Fresh merch that he's wearing.
With Counterspell on
Yeah,
it.
it's got Counterspell on it. It looks real clean out there.
I loved the quick hiccuping of calling it Preodarn.
Preordain.
There's something about that that really hit like a southern twang for me.
I dig that. I like it.
And Hunter here using that preordain, cycling through their cards, finding their line drop, and making sure that the one thing Murktide does the best is just keep the machine going. Between preordains, their expressive iterations, their DRCs, ledger shredders, they're just doing all they can to just always have the gas flowing. Just keep going and rolling and rolling.
Yeah, and on turn 2 here, that Dragon's Rage Channel is already delirious, so we're smacking in for 3 a turn.
I find my Murktide opponents always have the perfect delirium.
Somehow. And then you pick up the deck yourself and you struggle to find it,
I
right?
have 4 instants sitting in there trying to figure out what I did wrong. As you see Sam here, right, shocking in for a second Overgrown Tomb. And incentivized, like we said, to use this Urza Saga, spending our 3rd turn and most likely mana from our 4th turn, just developing constructs.
Hunter choosing not to dash the Ragavan and just play it in his second main there.
Yeah, aware that if Sam had made a construct and made a food, this would have been a 4/4, easily eating up that Ragavan. Onboard trick, good spot.
That's a cool looking construct token there. Looks like it might have been altered to be full art, unless that comes naturally.
Never seen it
in a
before in my
pack?
life. I had the same thought.
Looks very nice on our board here.
And we see, in response to the Urza Saga, Hunter fetching with both of our fetch lands.
Interesting. Do we feel a dress down coming here?
That's sure what it feels like.
A bit of confusion here between our players potentially on what exactly is happening and when. Or just maybe how much life we're losing to these fetches. Looks like 2 fetches, a 1 chuck, so 4 life total lost for Hunter there, bringing him down to 14 to Sam's 13.
And I think an important thing to notice if you are Sam and you're resolving this saga trigger is that Hunter searched up a steam vent alongside their island as opposed to island, which is a part that I always just notice against a deck that could have Blood Moon. Anytime they search a non-basic, to me as your opponent, says just a little more how much you may or may not be leaning on Blood Moon. So every time they get a non-basic, it either tells me I think they have a basic in their hand, or they don't have a moon effect just yet, so they're not incentivized to fetch in that way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because Sam doesn't need these Overgrown Tombs to become mountains and their sagas to become textless.
No, with his mana base, a Blood Moon effect would be pretty devastating here. You can't cast your finales for one, any of your creatures. The Asmo, kind of. But usually, I think Sam, at least last game, got it off of that finale. And here comes the dress down.
Yeah, and this construct with these cookbooks could have become an 8/8, but dress down the 1-shot 1-kill for taking down all of Urza's Saga will make both those constructs have no ability. Their ability is what grants them their power and toughness. They have 0 and they're gone. So Sam not really incentivized to do the little dance with their Daredevil, but just making sure to take care of everything and send it back to Hunter.
And Sam has no creatures now with what to block with. No Urza Saga to generate more tokens, so this Ragavan and this Dragon's Rage Channeler will crash in.
This is the difficulty of playing the turn 1 Saga, dedicating turn 3 and turn 4's mana to making constructs, is it unfortunately can be answered by a single card out of Hunter and Dress Down that cycles, draws them a card, while they continue their beatdown.
Sam looks to be in a little bit of a pickle here. I don't think he's got any more lands in his hand either. The other thing about Urza Saga puts you down some mana as well once it's done resolving all its chapters.
Right, that's why on some Saga decks you'll see things like a one-of Springleaf Drum, or Mox Ambers, or Paradise Mantle. Sometimes something to, if you're going to be really short on lands, to turn Saga back into a mana source. Sam here having to use it on this cookbook, and now just being stuck on 2 and falling behind.
We got all this food, so potentially some life gain there to keep us in the game. We're gonna cast a finale for 0 here.
This is really interesting. Sam activated their cookbooks to get all of their food before casting their finale, because if finale resolved, this Asmo is guaranteed to be able to do its activations before Hunter can respond.
Yeah, it's 2 foods per activation here. Sam's got 6, so you could fully clean up Hunter's board here if he so desired.
Right, we can make the Ragavan eat itself, make the DRC eat itself, and still have 2 foods left over.
Just shoving acorns down their mouth.
Right. As the DRC is forced to eat itself, so is the Ragavan. And now we're going to get this Surveil and this Unholy Heat to be able to activate, answer the Asmo. But this really allowed us to turn all of those early foods that we didn't have much going on in this finale into a double removal spell.
Unholy Heat still on the stack here, resolving the Surveil trigger, and we got very empty looking boards here. Just Sam with some food and some cookbooks, Hunter with 4 lands and a treasure.
But what Sam, is very aware of is that finale resolved. Hunter is not incentivized to let you kill both of their creatures, which is sending alarm bells that Hunter may not have a lot of counter magic or interaction.
I think I see 2 expressive or engineered explosives in his hand. Not counter spells, but those are pretty good once they hit the board.
Yeah, we're most likely holding right now to allow Sam to play the 3rd cookbook that we know about before we EE on 1 and blow them all up.
A second finale of devastation here. Hunter, frown, and a counter spell.
Right, and Sam, I'd feel the same way, that I would think this finale is clear for takeoff, and then Hunter just had the counter spell, either the draw per turn or just didn't feel that the finale last turn was worth countering, but knows that this one now is definitely worth it, as Sam is the only one with something going on right now.
Yeah, Sam's got a little more action here. Hunter will fetch up. We're at 8 and 13 for our life totals.
And the hard thing is the cards in Sam's hand are going up and up and up, but the lands are not, and we're getting stuck with a full grip of 7, but really limited on what we can do with it.
I feel like Asmo decks run pretty low to the ground, so maybe they're not too hefty in their mana base. But you should be hitting more than 2 after this many draws.
Like Sam's version is playing a 3-drop in Academy Manufactor, which is the only difference between this and a classic version of usually capping at maybe 2. But what if instead we just get 2 Gilded Gooses?
Yeah, that's some mana generation right there.
Right. The important part will be is Hunter is about to EE for 1 and eat the gooses and the cookbooks now.
Honk! Oh no!
Yep. You're welcome to feed these cookbooks and go up to 8, but now we're losing everything that we just spent that turn on.
I also noticed that there is a breeding pool in Sam's Exile. Ragavan hit it off the top.
Oh,
so
thanks, Ragavan.
Yeah. Usually you like seeing Ragavan hit lands off the top because that means your opponent can't steal them. But I think Sam is kind of regretting that hit right now.
No matter what, you can always blame your troubles on Ragavan. As we find this Steel Seeker, so this is going to allow us to turn any future artifacts into trying to get that card selection. But being down 4 total mana against the Murktide deck.
Yeah, any blue player with a lot of mana is a scary sight to see.
Yeah, any blue player with any amount of mana.
Any blue player.
Yeah, sorry, any blue player at sentence. As we get Urza's Saga, a way that we can start getting into this game, but also just our 3rd mana source.
Here comes an Academy Manufacturer here.
Hunter is probably going to let this resolve and then just bolt it, right?
There you
Turn
go.
each card in your hand into dealing with whatever Sam has.
Mm-hmm.
And now Expressive Iteration, just when you think they ran out, they're just going to get more.
Yeah, Hunter has clawed himself back into this game pretty quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaned up Sam's board when he built it up a bit and is now going to try and take control here. Dash into Ragavan. Hit a land off the top again. Overgrown Tune this time.
Yeah, and Hunter here being able to use the Express Iteration fully, getting this Ragavan, dashing it in, and drawing that card. When Iteration is an easy draw 2 for you, it allows you to really claw back into these resource-like games.
I see a Dress Down and a Lightning Bolt in Hunter's hand as well, so...
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's even more things to answer the stuff that Sam's gonna play here.
Right. Once Sam possibly uses the saga 2 more times and then is met with the dress down.
This construct's big. Foods are artifacts, right?
Right. But the dress down will just nullify all of them.
Yeah.
It'll look big for a moment.
It'll be very impressive.
And that's a part of the strategy when you don't play against a dress down strategy.
Hmm.
Is at this point in the game, Sam being stuck on mana for so long could just make 2 10-10s. And it's like, oh, okay, great, that's game. But Hunter having access to cards like Engineer Explosives and Dress Down, it's very hard to rely on your Saga. And now we have the double 1 drops.
Yeah, we'll dash this Ragavan in again. This Spell Pierce just rotting in Sam's hand as well. He hasn't found a single way to produce blue mana,
Right.
and now he's kind of priced out of the game here. Hunter can pay for it pretty easily if he's keeping his mana, if he's aware with his mana here.
Right, because this Ragavan can chunk in. And it looks like we'll be putting Sam down to 4. I think Sam looks to be debating making a construct to block with. But the issue is if Sam makes that construct, Hunter could still be incentivized to use that dress down. And the Ragavan could still just do 2 points of damage, so you'd be in the same situation.
Sam's going to opt to use his mana to crack a food instead of generating a construct here. We'll go up to 7. We'll go back to Sam's turn here. Life totals are 7-12.
And Sam not incentivized in any way to make these construct tokens, because you can see on Hunter's bottom right, just an EE on 0 just floating, waiting to take care of all your constructs and all of your food tokens.
We'll float a mana here as Urza Saga hits Chapter 3.
And we see Hunter, I love this, using their treasure tokens to activate the EE, because if this EE on 0 resolves, you're going to lose those treasure tokens anyways. And now Sam resolving the search here off there's Urza Saga, purposely using that EE before the saga goes off so that Sam can't grab Pithing Needle name Engineer Explosives in this window that you can't respond.
Right. If you let the chapter of Urza Saga resolve, you cannot respond once the Pithing Needle hits the field. It gets to name it and you have no window. So you got to respond before your opponent goes to fetch.
It's kind of the same thing like if your opponent puts a Pithing Needle on the stack, it's worth it to crack your fetch land just in case they're feeling spicy and want to name your Misty Rainforest.
Oof.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it could be backbreaking.
Yeah, you'll remember not to do it next time. We'll find the very last cookbook in Sam's deck here off the Urza Saga, and we'll play an Academy Manufacturer with that floating mana from Urza Saga and his 2 remaining lands.
And we see it resolving here, and Sam, again, because we've lost this saga, we've gone back to only 2 lands as our accessible mana.
Really rough.
We got to use the float this turn off the saga to play this Manufactor. But now Hunter untapping with 6 mana and active DRC. Sam's going to be able to make food, but you're going to have to choose basically your actions per turn on how you're going to use your very little amounts of mana.
We'll just play a slow Ragavan here. We haven't yet seen the namesake card out of Hunter's deck. No Murktides yet. We'll see a sideboard card, though. Unlicensed Hearse. Got some things to munch on in Sam and Hunter's graveyards here.
And very interestingly, Sam didn't cycle through our Daredevil in response to the Hearse. But now if we try to discard to the cookbook, the Hearse isn't going to be able to eat that from you.
Yeah. That'll make this Ragavan a little bit better. With this Academy Manufacturer on the field, I don't feel like Hunter's too confident attacking with it, but it's very good for crewing that car down there.
That's true.
That's a fun mental image. The monkey
driving
the car. I dig it.
I got that feeling a lot in Ixalan Unlimited when you're like, oh, I'm going to put this skeleton. It's going to drive my big boat, this massive boat, be driven by this little skeleton.
See a Underworld Cookbook here. Spell Pierce on the stack. Bolts on the stack.
Trying to bolt.
We'll clean up Sam's board there.
And now
couple Dragon's Rage Channeler triggers as well.
Oh, goodness.
Sam fighting for his life over here.
Right, and now we've drawn Street Wraith. It's definitely not worth... Oh, it is
Pay
worth the 2
for
life.
Yeah.
Yes,
and another one!
Yes, absolutely, Sam. Good for you. Go out in the double Street Wraith.
On your own terms. Hunter will take it down into their Murktide Overtime Sieve combo will be our first match of the night. Let's head into our backup match here. We've got Matt playing Milligan, and Bill is back playing Death Shadow. That's a classic we
Ooh.
haven't seen in a little bit. Death Shadow has had a pretty long history in the
Oh
game of
yeah.
Magic.
Once people just figured out that you can just make a good mid-range deck and put in 1 mana 8/8 in it, we were off to the races. We were talking before the match that Mill might just be helping Death Shadow. If this Death Shadow deck has Underworld Breach or Murktide Regent, Mill might just be helping them fuel a massive graveyard that they're going to be able to use on whatever they believe to be best for their payoff in this Death Shadow deck.
Looks like each player has won a game here, so we are in game 3. As players shuffle up here, looks like Bill is on the play, and he's going to start with a fetch and a shock.
Did you see the second Bill did that fetch land? Matt sat up in their seat. That's because of this archive trap in the front.
We saw him use it last week, and he's very eager to slam this down here. Gonna let Bill finish his shuffling, and I think we'll see it played in a second.
This mill deck rules. Like just
Yeah.
the thought of being like, and then you're gonna preordain, mana down, mill 13.
Yeah, the Fury Band made elemental decks potentially a little less prevalent, so you're not gonna run into quite as many endurances, which is
Oh,
a
that's true as well.
devastating card against a mill. So maybe you're feeling a little more confident to try it out at your own F&M.
Oh wow, Bill's also playing Snapcaster Mage and Drowning Lock, two other cards fueled by this massive graveyard. But the issue is, they were milled.
Yeah, Drowning Lock is good when your opponent has a full graveyard. So, I don't know if Matt has any symmetrical mill.
I don't believe so either.
Yeah,
But the fact that Snapcaster
but
Mage
Snapcaster Mage
exists
is
in Bill's
very,
deck,
very, very good for you to have a full graveyard with.
and going with a Thoughtseize, and looks like taking an Ensnaring Bridge, leaving an Ensnaring Bridge, 3 Field of Ruins, and an Aboro Palace in the Clouds, aka Buckleberry Fairy
I think you're right.
from
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
very nice there.
But you can see Matt's hand was leaning on, I'm going to trap you, and then I'm going to play 2 bridges, and you're never going to be able to attack for this entire game.
Bridge costs 3 to cast.
Yes.
All right, so we'll see if we can find the mana for it here. We got to play these Field of Ruins. Keep those around for a bit.
And I like the Ensnaring Bridges out of Mill. They're not attacking in any way.
No, I don't think so.
Another archive trap for your troubles, Matt. Oh, yeah. Are we going to play the blacked out Field of Ruin? Yeah. Oh, Buckleberry Farm. This is a Boro Palace in the Cloud, so it's a blue mana source, but you can pay 1 to pick up the land and replay it.
Grab the other Ensnaring Bridge. Second thoughts, he's there.
Yeah, and I love this, right? You don't need to take the archive trap because 13 cards, that's fine, but being unable to attack is not something you're able to work through.
No, Death Shadow definitely wants to be swinging in combat here.
And important, Bill missed their second land drop, drew for their 3rd turn, and thankfully found this Flooded Strand.
Matt's going to crack a Field of Ruin here, and both players are going to grab a basic. I think Bill's going to shortcut and fetch as well, so he's going to grab 2 lands here.
And very importantly, we're very used to Beseiju right now, where when your land gets blown up, you can find your Triumphs or your Shocks or what be. Field of Ruin is basic. You will find a basic.
Yeah, I misread Beseiju the first time because I'm so used to Field of Ruin type effects where it's just basic land, but Beseiju reads basic land type, like land with a basic land type. So yeah, you can grab those Triumphs or those Shocks.
And then after that search, Matt here went for an archive trap, responded to Bill by their counterspell.
And we've got 3 lands to Bill's 2 here. Tapped out. He's got some snow-covered lands. I don't think that's relevant in this deck at all, but it's a nice flavor choice.
Yes. At minimum, it's got to be a flavor choice because there are, like, at most 2 cards nowadays that care about snow.
Right. Arkham's Astrolabe is very banned.
Very banned. There's, I would say On Thin Ice, definitely not being played here.
No,
And Coatl,
not
here.
being played. Not since Astrolabe was banned, I think.
And indicated by the non-snow swamp, I think it's a for funsies choice.
Yeah. Though that art is very nice to look at.
Yeah. Who doesn't love the big iceberg island?
The little spire.
Ooh, spire is a good word. Thank you so much.
Full grip of cards here for Bill. He's going to try and make the most of his 2 lands here to cast them. And there's the namesake card, Death Shadow.
But I love the immediate Death Shadow, slam the Fatal Push down. It's done. I have the answer. Here we are. but Fluster, Storm is 3, countering that Fatal
Ooh,
Push.
ooh, ooh. We'll get a crab here and a land drop. That'll be a couple cards milled there. Let's see what he hits. A Death
Oh.
Shadow, Fatal Push, and a Fetch. Then Matt will crack and hit another 3. We've got 2 Brazen Borrowers and another land.
Oh, goodness. And now, this is where the Boro Palace in the Clouds come up. Being able to pay the 1 to return a land to replay it means Matt will be able to re-trigger these crabs over and over and over again.
We use the little shadow that someone's deck makes to see how much they've got left to work with here. I wager Bill's got 20 to 30 cards left. We've gone through a significant chunk of it so far.
And they're most likely on the hunt now for ways to lower their life total, so this Death Shadow can get just a little bit bigger.
For
Third ensnaring bridge off the top for Matt.
Oh, but the drown in the lock. Easily more than 3 in Matt's grave there.
And Matt, we have a murderous cut in hand, so we have an answer
Ooh,
once these get scary. Second Shadow, sure, I'm at 17.
Not too scary yet. If we got a kill spell, we'll play another crab here. That's a blocker.
Yeah, this crab is an 0-2, so these 1/1 Death Shadows can still be blocked. Oh, a Tidebinder and Death Shadow as well.
Ooh, that's fun. Death Shadow gets to play with all the new toys when they come out. I feel like they got tons of flex slots in their deck. There's a Dismember,
which allows us to pay 4 life, which is going to make our Death Shadows huge. These are 5/5s now. And Matt's going to have to use this murderous cut.
See, grab some cards out of here to pay for the delve, clean up one of the Death Shadows, and hit for 5.
Yeah, the Dismember was a great use of a resource to deal with the crab and deal as much damage to yourself as possible. Matt here drawing a Surgical Extraction. Hey, can I look at your graveyard for no reason? I usually say this is if you, a player, draw a card and look at your graveyard, you drew Snapcaster Mage. Matt here, when you draw a card and say, can I see your graveyard? That's a Surgical Extraction moment.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty clear telegraph here, but we've got 1 blue mana open for Bill here. A couple cards in hand. I don't think, even a Spell Pierce here, Matt will be able to pay for.
And my question is, I don't think we care, right? Matt can take some of these cards away. I think the only reason it would matter to me is if I have copies of a card in hand.
Yeah, I think it's good information for Matt at the very least to see what Bill's working with in his hand. We see 2 counter spells.
A third Death Shadow and Tashana's Tidebinder.
New card out of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Got a Stifle. And if you stifle a creature, planeswalker, or artifact, it remains stifled as long as Tashana. Or it loses its whole text box as long as Tidebinder is on the field.
We talked about this out in the streets before the game began. Because people were picking up Tidebinders because this card's incredible.
Yep.
And I said it's easy to remember because it's no cap. No creatures, artifacts, or planeswalkers.
Oh, that's really good. I should remember that. I play that card in Standard now.
There you go. Oh, Standard incoming.
I'm so excited, man. I think I'm gonna jam some RCQs in this upcoming season here.
Oh, the NRG takeover. Oh, Matt is counting Bill's deck. Looks like 15-ish 20-ish cards. Tons to work with as long as we don't draw another trap. And we're on all these counter spells, but no mana to cast them just yet. But we drew Stubborn Denial, fully turned on by this Death Shadow and the second one. So whatever Matt's follow-up here is going to be eaten up by that Stubborn
Really
Denial.
important rip off the top, and it's a basic island.
And here come the big shadows, and that's the game for Bill on Death Shadow.
Death Shadow take it home in 3 there. Bill will win our backup match in round 1 here. Before we go to a break, we're going to remind you that if you want to pick up any of the cards that you've seen in your feature match area tonight, head on over to nerdragegaming.com. We've got thousands of singles for you to purchase for in-store pickup or ship countrywide. We're listing more cards every day, so if you don't see one that you need, add to your wish list and get notified immediately with no obligation to pay when we list them. We're listing more cards every single day. With that, though, we're going to head into a break while we pick out our round 2 features. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned.
See y'all soon.
I love you. Welcome back, folks. We're in round 2 here, and we got a fast one for you. We got Adam on Burn and Tom on Hammer Time. We're going to get them started for you in just a second here, but we're looking for some fast-paced magic in our second match of the night.
But our plan is for these two fine folks to play at rapid fire speed so that our backup control mirror can be there when we need them later.
Yes, we have a bet going to see if these guys can finish all 3 of their matches, up to 3 matches, before they can finish their first game. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes here. Adam starting with a mountain, Tom starting with the plains and a spring leaf drum. We'll see a goblin guide come down, turn sideways, and hit a Sigarda's aid.
And very importantly, I believe Adam is back on Classic Burn all the way to Eidolon of the Great Revel.
It
And
did a
again-
lot of work last week.
Against Storm.
Yeah.
In Hammer Time, we might have a similar situation of it triggering off every single card they play.
It looks like Goblin Guide is also back in the deck. I feel like Adam
Yeah,
has taken out
back to
most,
classic.
if not all, of his creatures.
Yeah, and now we're back to the 12 suite of the 4 guides, 4 Swifters, 4 Eidolons.
We'll see a giver on turn 2 here, which is a little late. So you like to see that on its very first turn.
Right?
But it is kind of a blocker here.
And I think a part of this giver is trying to turn into mana, as you see here with the Springleaf Drum.
And we'll play a Surge of Salvation in the main deck.
To give ourselves protection, these are when you play the mono white hammer, these basically act as your spell pierces.
Nice there. This giver will survive the play with fire. Adam will fetch here. And shock. We're playing Boros Burn, so probably looking to find a white source here.
And Adam may have been using that play with fire upstairs to try to get some scry on. It's hard to tell, when players will announce things verbally. But either way, the Surge protecting either Thomas's face or their giver.
Exactly. Very nice spell there. I really like Surge of Salvation. I was very excited when it got spoiled to jam that right into my hammer deck.
It truly, in this deck, feels like your white counterspell.
Absolutely.
All your counter magic was to protect you and your permanents. This protects you and your permanents.
Get another swing in here. Put Tom down to 15, and we'll see a card off the top that's not a land. I couldn't quite see what it was.
Another Surge of Salvation.
Oh, very nice.
And this situation is really good for Adam on their creature draw. Is Tom has to choose between my giver is a blocker or it's tapped for mana and no longer able to block. Both situations are great for Adam.
Or you leave it untapped since it's now not summoning insect to protect any creatures that you might be playing here. It looks like Tom's stuck on just the one land, though. I feel like he would have played his second here.
As we see a Sigarda's Aid. Okay, maybe scary.
Starting to build the building blocks of Hammer here. Sigarda's Aid is a good foundational card.
Right, we have to be careful now that if we go to target the giver with a burn spell as removal, we could flash in a hammer, attach it, and make this thing survive that said removal spell.
Good point there.
Because Adam most likely looking to cash in the Searing Blaze in their hand.
This Goblin guy will hit a land off the top. Was that a Nurturing Peeling?
The black-white version. The Silent Clearing.
There we go. Okay.
Allowing Thomas Holland to play the all-white mana base, but allowing them to cycle through the mana if need be. And now having to choose what to do with this giver.
He's moved it up a little bit on the playmat, so I think... No.
Take the damage from the guide. The Swift Sphere is unpumped currently.
Got it. And we'll just play an Eidolon. We're in our second main here.
This Eidolon is going to spell murder for Thomas, though.
Indeed. We'll rip a S% off the top, play that Silent Clearing as our land for turn. Now we've got to decide how much damage we want to take from this Eidolon.
Right, and the Silent Clearing we were given from the Goblin Guide, but it's just going to also deal us damage every time we try to tap it. It's like given a land that we have to shock with.
Indeed. There's no option to tap that land for colorless mana. You have to pay a life to get any mana from it.
And again, Eidolon making its triumphant return. Adam's been surveying what's going on in the meta as the mana curves are getting lower. People aren't playing big, giant 4-color decks. And now you get paired into Hammer, and this card is just big stamp on it that says 6 to 8 damage this game.
Exactly. And it's even got some stats of its own, so it could turn sideways at some point as well.
Right. It'll be interesting to see if Adam needs the 2 damage from combat or wants to always keep it safe.
Yeah, just hold it back just to be certain it survives.
There's the first damage from that Silent Clearing for the Stone Forge.
Take our first damage from Eidolon as well on this cast from Stoneforge Mystic, and we'll grab, I think...
Shadow Spear?
I was going to say, I think you got to grab Shadow Spear because you need the lifelink.
Right, and then what we can do is...
It's also a 1-drop, so you can cast it immediately.
We can, use like the Giver to block, and then use it for mana, flash it in, equip, and now it's a 2-powered creature with lifelink. So this, at minimum, might just be pay 1 mana, gain 2 life.
And you like to say, when something blocks, it also essentially gains you life as well.
right? If we're blocking maybe that Swift Spear or this Goblin Guide, could gain 2 to 3 life in addition to what you literally will gain.
Yeah, every 3 life you gain is one more burn spell Adam has to find.
Now, what Adam might be able to do is use the Searing Blaze in their hand to remove a blocker. And if we have a second burn spell that go to a creature, we might be able to remove all of these and remove any possibility of Shadow Spear coming up later, but we can't even play it yet this turn.
Mm-hmm. Taking a quick look at the board here, there are some pretty complex lines that Burn has to take here. You don't want to just play all your spells immediately. There is, some nuance to it here, as Adam has shown time and time again. We're going to go to combat, though, and turn the whole team sideways here.
Saga to hand there. And this is great. Adam is going into combat with the Eidolon, having a pile of cards in their hand that trigger their own Eidolon, including 2 Boros Charms. But what we're doing is we're getting as much information as possible and incentivizing Thomas Holland to possibly trade off for our Eidolon, unlocking ourselves Flurry of Burn spell and end the game.
Yeah, Adam's got a ton of damage in his hand here right now. Tom is very close to dead. This Shadow Spear is the only thing keeping him in this game right now.
And what we might also do is use this Searing Spear, the Searing Blaze to kill whatever creature could have been Shadow Speared, but instead we're using this to surge, survive combat. 2 from the Goblin Guide. We're going to go 4 upstairs.
Yeah, so Tom cast the Surge of Salvation before Adam put anything on the stack, so now Adam has a chance to respond and is going to just
end the
burn Tom out of this game.
Right, because we're going to use this, play the second Boros Charm, and put Thomas in full lethal.
Full dead mode. Yeah, that Surge.
That Surge will wait on the stack forever. Bop.
Yeah, you just can't give Adam any window here.
And that's the game.
That'll be game 1 there in favor of Adam. We'll head into sideboards here and take a look at what he's rocking with.
And this will most likely be a difficult game for a Hammer player because most of Adam's burn plan can turn into a removal plan. So it's very important on using our givers for protection or using our hammers to become massive creatures. But Adam is most likely about to enter a control role and just survive long enough to burn the other player out.
Yeah, let's take a look at his sideboard here. This is Adam's full 75 that he submitted for us. We've got 3 Strict Proctors, 3 Path to Exiles, 3 Exquisite I'm going to slow down here. Excuse me. Exquisite Firecrafts, 3 Wear Tears, and 3 Roiling Vortexes.
Give me these Wear Tears. At a minimum, I want to blow up your artifact and your Sigarda's Aid, your Urza Saga and your artifact. And then the further question is, do we want something like a Strict Proctor to turn off ETBs here and there? Even get our block on, I think this thing's a 1/3.
Yeah,
so
1/3 flyer.
I know this is primarily here for Scam or 4-color or anything heavily reliant on ETB abilities, which may be just enough in this matchup. But there's always the flip side that if you're bringing 6 sideboard cards in, there's a lot of dilution that'll happen to your burn strat.
Absolutely. Strict Proctor is doing a lot less damage than any of the burn spells in Adam's deck. It does a lot of work against a lot of cards in Tom Holland's deck, though. Like you said, any of those artifacts are going to be entering the field in conjunction with a Sigarda's Aid or a Stoneforge Mystic, for example. Or even a Cauldra. I think you don't get the Germ. If Living Weapon, is that?
Proctor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that work?
Yeah, unless they pay the 2, it doesn't trigger and create the Germ.
Lot of interactions that it affects. So we'll see if Adam deigns to bring it in here. Do we have a hammer list to look at? I know Tom hasn't submitted one here, but we'll grab one off of Goldfish for y'all and see what they could potentially be working with. Dranith Magistrates, Solitudes, Manaties, March of Otherworldly Light, Tormod's Crypt, and Cursed Totems.
I'm leaning, if we're on this version of the mono white deck, Solitude might be something that we need, but it's so hard in a world where your opponent's creatures are the least important part of their strategy. But if we can get a mega read and Adam plays their Strict Proctor and then we evoke our Solitude, we might be able to keep it for free.
That would be cool. Yeah, the lifelink on Solitude is really nifty.
Right.
Very, very helpful against a burn deck here if it can stay on the field. Usually, I think we're going to see it evoked here and not stick around long enough.
If this is my Hammer 75, I might just bring in these 2 Manaties and pray.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you want to bring in the mana ties here as well. You're leaving that mana open for Surge of Salvation anyway, so those mana ties seem
Mhm.
like a pretty easy include here.
And it'll be interesting, right? Because in that game, your burn opponent drew up to 4 lands,
Hmm.
but typically you'll see them purposefully stall at 2, maybe 3, and that's when Mana Tithe can be really impactful, especially if Adam is entering that control role and just killing off all of your creatures. One well-timed Mana Tithe could just win the game.
Exactly. If Adam has to send more at his creatures, that's for everyone to add a creature, that's one less to your face.
Right, and then if you just need to save that one Sentinel that's about to pick up that hammer, that could be all it takes.
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a turn one Esper Sentinel out of Tom, get some value off of it. At least one card draw from Adam's spells here. As players shuffle up here, Tom will be on the play for game two, and we'll see if they like their starting sevens here.
And we see Adam immediately drawing up with a Wear Tear on the far side of their hand, already drawing these sideboard cards.
Tom is going to mulligan here down to 6 to not like the look of his hand.
And this is, I think, very important from a hammer player, especially in this matchup, is you need to kill and you need to kill quick.
We are not keeping slow sevens here at all. Hammer is not a very slow deck, and you want some speed, especially against a quick deck like Burn.
Right, like we won't be able to like grind the game out with sagas. This isn't a
Mhm.
go get Cauldron and get the
Mhm.
beat down. Like we need to do the thing because there won't be many turns.
Absolutely, well said. See if he likes a sandwich drawer. One of Cauldron complete. That's not a good look.
But we're on the 6. That's the perfect bottom. Easy
Oh, there you
peasy.
go.
I always love this when you play like Tron or Creativity. When you're in Tron, you draw Ulamog, perfect bottom. When you're in Creativity, you draw Archon, perfect bottom. Some of your 6s feel better than your 7s because you can drop those.
Easy peasy. And that Cauldron will find its way down to the bottom. We'll start off with the plains.
Whoa. We have Aethersworn Canonist in our sideboard. We can see it here on the far
Ooh.
right side of Tom Holland's hand. This is going to force Adam to only play one spell each turn. You can only cast one non-artifact spell each turn.
Yeah, I've played this in Legacy D&T before.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because a lot of the burn strategy is instant speed, and Adam may have to kind of dance back and forth between one on my turn, one on yours, one on my turn, one on yours.
Suspend a Rift Bolt for Adam's first turn here. Take a quick peek at it on Tom's side.
Oh,
It's a lightning bolt that happens.
and this is good timing
eventually.
for the Canonist. The Rift Bolt has to come off suspend and cast itself. That's your one spell. So if Adam was looking to play a creature, Adam just looked me in my eyes and smirked. If you are looking to play any like follow-up stuff on Adam's turn, maybe like an Eidolon, sneak it in there, or like 2 1-drops, you're gonna be able to play none of those because of this Rift Bolt.
Unless you just does the Rift Bolt have to go face?
But the Rift Bolt has to go somewhere. Oh, you can
Yeah,
take out
because
the
you could just take out
Canonist.
the Canonist then.
Dang, you're too smart for me.
I try my best.
And Tom deciding none of the above and sending it back to Adam.
Yeah, no spells on his turn, so this Rift Bolt is just gonna go straight to his face with no other targets available.
And I wonder if it was worth it to play the Canonist just to absorb that Rift Bolt. Right? That's just a 2-mana gain 3.
Indeed it is. We'll shock in a Sacred Foundry here. That Wear Tear sitting in his hand, and we'll see
Skewer upstairs.
Skewer the critics. Because that Rift Bolt is going to trigger the Spectacle cost there.
Yeah, I'm very much so wondering if we should have played this Canonist and just let the Rift Bolt target it. I
Yeah.
think a part that some Magic players may not even think about or have processing is like shifting what your card says in your brain and what it's doing in the matchup, right? If you had the option to just play 2-mana gain 3, would you play that card?
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that your Magic cards can do in the face of your opponent's spells, and there's a lot of different roles that they can play. And
Yeah.
here comes the Canonist now, and just casting a Colossus Hammer, which is not something you see a lot of. That makes me think that maybe he's got a Pure Steel Paladin in his hand, because that one doesn't care about when you play the artifact.
Exactly. And kind of showing Adam the patterning that either Sworn Canonist is you only play one non-artifact spell. So immediately following up with their hammer almost feels like they're teaching Adam, this is how you play with Canonist. Follow it up with an artifact.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Adam here seems to be debating what to do with our...
Gonna call the judge over from the backup match and get Tepper to give him some help there.
Oh, Adam here is trying to... Looks like we might be trying to Wear Tear and eat this Canonist and the Urza Saga.
Interesting. Where?
And our question might be, if we fuse Wear Tear, does it count as 2 spells?
Mm-hmm.
Because Canonist would stop that. But it looks like, based on whatever we heard from a judge, our decision makers are going to use this Play with Fire to answer this Canonist.
All right. No, nothing to respond with there. Tom is fully tapped out, so he can't cast any surges.
Adam's going to untap, fuse this Wear Tear, and eat Saga and Hammer.
Oh, man.
And this is what I was saying of this Boros, burn deck being able to
Mhm.
transition. We've also drawn Path to Exile. So
That
on
was a
top
sideboard
of
card
that,
we didn't talk about him bringing in.
right? Because it's that thought of like, how many cards can you really bring in? Looks like Adam at least brought these Wear Tears and these Paths.
Yeah, gonna fuse this card and do exactly what Dom just said, cleaning up both the hammer and the Urza Saga.
That feels so bad. That hurts so
Get
hard.
Stone Rained.
Yeah. Well, Stone Ring and Urza Saga feels so good if you're the opponent,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to lose. This is classic Magic. This is a 2-for-1. This Wear Tear, 1 card, I take 2 of yours for the price of my turn. We'll take that every time.
Looking at Tom's hand here, we've got a Stoneforge Mystic, a Pure Steel Paladin, an Aether Storm Canonist. Gonna play a Ganjo as land for turn.
We're playing Choose Your 2-drop, right?
Oh, you can't play. Okay, I thought he was playing the Pure Steel for a second, and I was like, that seems wrong to me. This
But
Canonist seems like a better play here. Although
I think Adam's just gonna pattern around it. Like I said, 1 on my turn, 1 on yours. Drawing again, perfectly timed this 4th land, allowing us a double 2-drop.
yeah, just make sure you target that Canonist first, and then you're off to the races there.
Or
just chill.
Turn, pass turn, see what you got going on. Path if need be.
Not even gonna play anything on his turn. Gonna pass the full 4 mana open.
Yep, holding up. Oh, it's Path to Exile, double Boros Charm. That's the hand. Adam's Boros Charms act like standard Siege Rhinos. They always come together.
We'll play the Stoneforge Mystic out back on Tom's turn here.
I don't think Adam cares. You're
what are
welcome to do
What
this.
are we grabbing here? You can't grab.
That's
there we
the
go.
Shadow
Yeah,
Sphere.
it's got to be that every time.
But Adam's gonna go 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Untap my turn, 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
We might even use our end step, cycle one of these Canopy lands. The Canonist may come up, but Adam might just draw enough cards to just fully push through it. As we have a Memnite and a Shadow Spear, but no mana yet for someone to pick it up.
Boros Charm here. Straight to the face. Put Tom down to 10 to Adam's 17. Go to his turn. Draw another Horizon land.
All right, we're definitely cycling through one of these now.
Oh, yeah.
Most likely going to cycle through the Fiery Islet, no need for the blue mana. And then allow us to keep these 2 red-white sources, but
do you think he plays more than 4 Horizon lands, or is that just what he had available?
I think the Islet's probably the 5th or 6th, right? Just burn being something that's so just fire off all your spells, being able to turn your lands into spells must be useful.
Yeah, we do have his deck list here. I'm so silly. I could just look.
And now we have a hammer with our Pure Steel Paladin that we just played for this turn, allowing us to move this Shadow Spear and this hammer for free. This would be a huge life gain swing if Adam didn't bring in Path to Exile. So we're making this huge attacker, and this looks great. And we put on the Canonist, which Adam was already incentivized to remove.
There's that beautiful textless Path to Exile there.
It's hard. So I feel very incentivized to put both of those equipments on this Memnite, because if Adam has removal, that's the creature I care about the least.
Absolutely.
Because now in one swoop, Adam has stopped you from gaining 12 life and got to remove your Canonist.
Indeed. I did just look at his deck as well. The Fiery Islet is the 5th Horizon land in his deck. He's got a full 4 Sunbit Canyons and then the 1 Islet.
That is lit.
Is lit, bro.
And now we've moved everything over to this Pure Steel Paladin.
That seems like a very juicy target to me.
But Adam doesn't have answers anymore. Our answers need to be draw a card to kill you.
Yeah, I think we just want to get in before this Paladin can turn sideways. There's a lot of lands in his hand. We're going to cycle that second Horizon land.
But the last burn spell remaining in Adam's hand before he drew out Lava Spike was Skullcrack. We're going to respond to this massive life gain by now you take 3 instead.
Skullcrack's got that neat bit of text on it. Players can't gain life this turn.
So Thomas is most likely leaning on this big creature to really get them back into this game.
So we're going to say...
Skullcrack.
Say no.
And we're taking 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, 15 damage, not 16.
Whoa, whoa.
So I don't know if it was for Thomas to sneak a point of damage in here somewhere.
Um,
Card in hand is a surge. So he countered. Then
the,
the life gain doesn't happen. Thomas is going to go way up on life, and Adam's going to go down to 1. And that surge protecting us from the skull crack.
gonna be too much for Adam to manage there. We're gonna scoop it up and go to a game 3 here.
And Adam falling into the burn deck trap of if a single one of any of the lands they drew was a burn spell, game's long over.
I think he drew like 3 lands in a row there.
And 3 more than he wanted to, right?
And I don't know if you caught the little neat bit of interaction there. He cracked his last Horizon land so they could play Inspiring Advantage, which would have entered tapped.
Oh,
he had
beautiful.
other lands to play, but I did just want to point that out as a bit of interaction there.
Yeah, that land cycle, the fast lands people call them, my least favorite because I always
Wow.
they're my 4th land every time. They're always they're just tap lands for me.
No, never.
So when something like a popped Urza Saga lets you play one untapped, super cool. When using your Horizon lands lets you play them, that's cool, right? Like eking out every last bit of value you can out of your card, out of your land, whatever it may be. And that's all it takes. Adam was a card away, but so is Thomas, and we're going to a deciding game number 3.
We talked about what Adam was going to bring in. We didn't talk about what he could have potentially taken out. I don't think I saw any Goblin guides.
The creatures are gone.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you bring them back in on the play, though? Because on turn 1, they're pretty good.
It's so hard because I think, especially after we saw these Mem Knights, like there's so many cards that are just going to be around to get in the way. You know, this deck does have Pierce Steel, Stoneforge, Mem Knights, like Saga tokens. I think just a lot of stuff that gets in your way. And the point of the burn creatures is they need to be 1 mana deal 6, 1 mana deal 8. Like they need to scale really hard in this game. I think Adam instead is on a full control plan instead. And we saw we were a card away, even after playing Path, Wear Tears, all these interactions.
Ooh, we've seen the deflecting paw into Hammer before, but we don't have any in Adam's deck this time, unfortunately.
Right, and I think a part of that is Adam is not playing against Hammer lately. Like a card like Hammer Time, or like Palm, really good against specifically these big monsters, and not something that Adam is fully prepared for, or something that they're not worried about and allowing themselves to instead play a card like Wear Tear that has a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other deck you would want Deflecting Palm in against, and I don't think there is. The biggest thing you're swinging with is like a beefy Murktide, maybe?
Oh, yeah, or sometimes half of a double striking Primeval Titan, but sometimes you're just still already dead.
Yeah, I think at that point that's not too useful there.
Adam's a tried and true, like 5-year-long burn player. I think Deflecting Palm might just be a trap, and they're just not falling into it anymore.
Yeah, he's wizened up a bit.
Yeah, for those wondering, Adam is playing against our own Spider-Man. Even though Hammer should be Thor's deck, I have questions. What deck would Spider-Man play? Oh, Yawgmoth. You make all the little insects. That's so close to spiders.
That's so close to spiders.
That's so close to spiders. Oh, at some Christmas holiday festivities, you're playing board games with the family, right? And it's one of those, like, I have a thing, you need to guess it. And they're like, it has 6 legs. I'm like, spider. All of us are like, you could not be more wrong.
Oh, no, you fool.
As Adam, on the play, on turn 2, plays this Eidolon in every single card Thomas Holland plays is going to deal them 2 damage.
Trying to think. If he brings in Solitude, I think that's the only spell that doesn't trigger from Eidolon. Every single one of these other ones is going to.
And if we get to the point that Tom here is casting Cauldra, we have way bigger problems.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I forgot about Cauldra.
Right.
Because you never cast it. Yeah.
And if we're playing the Solitude versions and we have the Bolt land, the
Amaria's Call.
If we get to 7 to cast that, we'll also have bigger problems.
Indeed. Oh, that's a really good point. Yogg would be played by Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I think that might be a closer call there.
Yeah, that's super true, actually.
Or Black Widow.
Burn is played by the Human Torch.
Of course. The Flash, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a great line of thinking. I'm a little intrigued now.
Yes, yes. This needs to turn into a whole bit. We'll just name everyone's thing here.
Control Professor Xavier.
Oh, I was gonna say Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is pretty good
Doctor
too.
Strange will play Teferi.
Doctor Strange, yeah. Doctor Strange is a big fan of Teferi, and they're a big fan of taking turns games,
Hmm.
taking turns decks.
Speaking of that, this Eidolon's gonna turn sideways and smack Tom for a couple points of damage here.
And
Ooh, a Shadow Spear will take 2 damage on the cast, but represents some important life gain here. We've seen it every single game so far. This time he drew it naturally. The other 2 times he grabbed it off a Stoneforge Mystic.
shout out to a first time chatter. The Hulk would play Amulet Titan absolutely 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Amulet Titans
Easy.
just are the Hulk.
See a Wear Tear here, get fused. We're gonna grab Sigarda's
Wow.
Aid.
And it's hit by the surge.
Doesn't even let him choose targets, man. He's like,
This-
nope, nope. Surge of Salvation.
This is the white counterspell. Like it is doing exactly what you want counterspell to do, but it is 1 mana. It protects you. It protects your stuff. Like it does exactly what this Hammer
It's
Time
so
deck wants.
good. I love it. I love it.
Should more decks play Surge?
Besides Hammer?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's so hard, right? When a deck displays the power of a card, you're like, okay, does that mean it should be in more places, or it's just incredible here?
I mean, yeah, it's such an easy include in Hammer, right? It fits so naturally
Yeah.
into the deck's game plan and mana base.
Allowing you to play a mono white or splash for non-blue colors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
See a second Eidolon here, which does trigger from the 1st
Mhm.
one.
But Thomas,
Oh,
good luck,
boy.
buddy. And Adam drew another Wear Tear, which will be able to answer this Shadow Spear and the Sigarda's Aid.
Oh man, he it's so interesting to me that he cast the second Eidolon before Wear Tearing maybe because he wanted to eat the
Oh. Skullcrack. I take 4, but you'll take 3 and not gain any life. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no.
Uh-oh. Well, guys, I think it's hammer time.
Whoa.
And Adam
Oh my
reveals
God.
the Wear Tear stuck in hand, but it wouldn't have mattered. Double hammer means it is game over for our burn
It
player.
did matter. He could have Wear Teared the Esper Sentinel.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't matter how many hammers you got if it's got nothing to hold.
One of these this moment, these are one of those things you only have to do it once and you'll never do it
Yeah.
again.
Oh
Adam's
man.
gonna be like, I can't let Sentinels live later on.
Oh boy. Well, Tom will take down our main feature match of round 2. They're in 3 games. We're gonna head into our backup match here. They're probably still playing,
Our
right?
control players have gotta beat. Look,
They
there
are.
they
They're
are.
on game 2. We finished game 1, so we lost the
Oh,
bet there.
man.
They were able to complete 1 game before our main feature finished up there. We got Brian on ring control, Shardless Agent ring control, and George rocking his 5-color jab
Yeah.
pile.
All right, I will give you the rundown on their decks. Brian Tepper is playing 4-color, no black, beanless bean, right? We are just playing the beans deck with the Shardless Cascade package, but our Shardless is always Cascade into Renin 6 or impactful sideboard cards like Curse Totem, Sanctifier, Anvek, whatever your choice is. But then leans on the classic Omnath, Renin 6, Leyline, One Rings, and even trying out today Tishana's Tidebinder. George,
Oh, there we go. Flashing the ring
have to show
tattoo.
it.
You got to do it every
That's how
time you
you
play
know.
the card, baby.
And George playing the same list that we saw last week, where it is a 5-color control strat. It leans on the 4 colors that Omnath is, but a little splash Skadi for 4 Orcish Bowmaster. The card is so good. We were joking and calling it Snapcaster Mage because it essentially just casts Flame Jabber over and over again. Just dealing 1 point here, 1 point there, 1 point here. Kind of while still doing the like flash ambush viper impression that many snapcasters do.
I'm looking here. Weirdly, both of our players are above 20 life. We got
yeah.
22.
It's the Omnath effect.
Yeah.
You can see George's is in exile and Brian's is currently in play.
George assembling the little Planeswalker group here. He's got a Narset, a Renin 6, a Teferi, and then a Solitude hanging out with the gang as well.
This is George's Avengers. If he can assemble Renin 6, Teferi, and Narset, George is A-OK. You might see a Jace the Mind Sculptor slip in just for fun, but these are all the 3 you need.
There you go. Maybe a Wandering Emperor. That's a fun one.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm a
Ooh.
girl. Playable in Standard.
Indeed, I've run into it in Standard. It's a house.
Yeah, most likely a card I'm going to try to shove into whatever deck I play when I qualify for champs on Sunday, the upcoming NRG.
Yeah, we're gonna have some last chance qualifiers. We haven't announced it yet. You have some chances to
No.
sneak in the
I'm saying
champs.
for week 1, day 1 of 2024 season,
Oh, I
we'll qualify
see.
on Sunday.
Easy peasy. That first event in
Mm.
February.
After I lose in the finals on Saturday, I'll qual on Sunday.
Easy peasy. Yeah,
Sweet.
we're beginning our double showdown weekends. You can
Yeah,
qualify on either Saturday
I'm
or
pumped.
Sunday.
Yeah, good quality Magic coming at you fast.
Good quality Magic coming at you right now. Look at all the stuff going
Hey,
on.
ring mirror. And
Oh boy.
the difference is George's deck has counter magic in it. Brian's deck does not because of the cascade packages.
Hmm.
You can't put counter magic. You'll just cascade into it in opportune times.
Unless you want to play like Commandeer. I know we were doing
No.
that when Beans was still a thing. I
Me and
don't think we're
Brian
jamming
took
it.
Commandeer out of their deck today at 624 and put in these Tide Binders.
You made him?
No, we both agreed this is an easy choice.
Yeah.
Commandeer was your best answer to the ring.
Hmm.
Tidebinder is a better answer that only takes one card and attacks and kills your opponent while doing it.
Yeah, Typewriter seems really good. You just get a text boxless ring over there.
Right.
Very blank ring.
It can draw a single card because you can respond to the Tidebinder coming in and targeting it. You get one, but 4 mana draw one card is surely not worth it.
Surely not. We've got these games are so funny to me. We got pretty mirrored board states here. Both players have a ring, both players have a Teferi. There's a little bit of deviation there. These mana bases look very similar though. Ryan's got a couple more basics than George.
The big difference in Brian's hand, Elder Deep Fiend.
Yes, Elder Deep
Oh,
Friend.
and Tishana's Tidebinder. We might flash in this binder, counter George's ring, and then eat it and turn it into a Deep Fiend.
Ooh.
Yeah, Tidebinders play way better in this deck.
Tiebinders shut down all these planeswalkers too. If we're looking to draw cards, we can shut down the Narset text box if we want to get rid of this Teferi. The Ren and 6 I think is the least impactful one that we care about here.
Yeah,
This ring we can also,
a
of course,
big
target.
reminder, right? When you play the ring, you gain protection.
Mhm.
Your walkers, your creatures, they do not. Brian is choosing who dies to Omnath here today, and the choice is Teferi. Because remember, George has this Narset shutting off Brian's ring, but still we are incentivized to kill off the Teferi to shut down the power of George's deck, while we have our own Teferi.
Well said.
Did you
well
catch
said
all that?
there. I did. I'm trying to keep up. Control is definitely not my forte, and we've got two masters on screen right now, so I'm trying my best to keep up with it all.
Yeah, they're playing at a very normal pace, too.
No, these players are making game actions with good time here. George still rocking that 002 hat. It's so funny because it's reversed in the camera, so it looks like
it
it's
looks
a
like
200 hat.
Yes, George.
Yes, manifesting what we want here.
This man's changing. He's winning games.
Oh boy, not yet tonight, but
Oh, sorry. Yeah, good point. As we're using our ring, drawing up, and Brian not using our Tidebinder to try to lock this down, most likely thinking it's not a winning battle when there's 7 mana worth of counterspells probably coming back.
Are we So we don't want to target this ring at all? Are we just waiting to target it with the
I think we're
Tidebinder?
just scared of running it out into counter magic for free. So we most likely are trying to make George take game actions so we can tap them down pretty low to then try to sneak it in.
He's got a lot of mana to work with, though. Gonna use 5 of it. Another Teferi? Elemental? Yeah.
Solitude hard cast. Now
do we
can
Tidebinder?
Tidebinder the Exile ETB trigger. And keep our Omnath. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
That leaves George with a 3/2.
And because of Brian's Teferi, George wouldn't be able to respond to whatever we chose to be the interaction here. And now we're just going to immediately tap down these creatures, eat it with the Deep Fiend so that you can't even take it if you wanted to.
Tap down the creature as
And
well.
our Tidebinder is still held up, and George is now tapped out. So if George goes to activate either of these walkers, we could lock it out.
Is this little Teferi on Brian's side? Then he shouldn't be afraid of counter magic, right?
Right.
All right. So we Deep Fiend. We ate the Omnath.
And now
for its evoke cast here because it is an 8-drop usually.
Yes.
7-drop? 8-drop?
7 off a merge, 8 if you hard cast.
Right. Thank you.
And it's a big old 5/6, which means it most likely could eat one of
Whoa.
Okay,
George's favorite interaction here. We've got a Days Undoing on the stack with the Narset in play.
Brian's just gonna ambush Viper, flash in this 3/2.
Target the Narset so that he gets to keep his hand.
Well, we can't because the Narset hasn't activated anyway, so there's no trigger to even try a tag. But
Oh.
what we're doing is flashing this in because we're gonna lose it anyways. George
Oh.
George is gonna lose their hand. Brian loses their hand, and they're gonna draw these 7s.
In what 5-color pile do you have 3 Besagus in your deck?
Sideboard for sure. You gotta beat up on Tronic Coffers
That's crazy.
because they're just spells. They're just your best spell you can draw.
A non-counterable spell at that.
Even better. So what's gonna happen here is Brian is going to draw their 1 card. George is gonna draw 7, but Brian has the beatdown force.
George does the thing. He does his favorite thing.
So,
but can he still win?
George needs Solitude white card, or Brian is going to go to combat, kill this Narset, and then draw with their ring.
We're gonna smack
and
here.
And that was so quick. Both these walkers down. Brian, I imagine, is going to activate this ring as fast as they can. Start digging, taking these cards.
Absolutely. Gotta refill this hand back up. We have another Tidebinder in hand as well.
And as long as our Teferi survives, we can just play easily against George for a very long time.
George Teferi is a great card in his deck, and he hates to see it on his opponent's side as well.
He hates to play against this card because it shows off his entire deck. So what Brian's going to be able to do here is hold up this Tidebinder, hold up anything else that they may be able to draw off these cards, and know that George won't be able to interact when Brian chooses it's time for them to interact.
We're going to start off with a Shardless Agent here, Cascade. We know what he's hitting.
Yep, it'll be Renin 6. We saw it was already in play. No incentive to swap it out this game.
Those Fire and Ices don't count, and there's the Renin 6.
Yeah, very interesting comment that someone made in chat on should Brian just be playing Crashing Footfalls. This deck is so close to just already being a Rhinos deck, but one that wants to have Ren and then find Ren off these Shardlesses, which allows you to set up your mana and play these late games and so forth. But is that better than a pile of 4/4s?
Is that what Brian wants to play? I don't think he feels like a Crashing Footfalls player to me.
The real answer is Brian doesn't want to.
Yeah.
The question is, would it be better?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can imagine Brian's deck with Tidebinder, Teferi, Deep Fiend. All these sound great. And give me some Rhinos?
Yeah, who knows? Just
Actually, I might have Brian ship me this list and just turn it into Rhinos right quick. We're even already playing the Fire Ices and the Lorians.
Why not? Why not throw some Rhinos in there?
Maybe we're cooking. Maybe there should just be like 2 Deep Fiends for fun and Rhinos.
I mean, we've already got all these other cards in here. I feel like there's some flexibility here.
I would love Teferi Time Rattler in your Rhinos deck. Good card. It allows you to pick up your Shardless and then replay and cascade again. Uh-oh, pretty good. As George is trying to figure out how in the world to play against their opponent's Teferi Time Rattler.
Indeed.
By playing their own.
Activated the ring there. That's why he's got some extra cards in hand there. We're going to fix that die real quick. Teferi on the stack.
Which is going to shut down Brian's ability to use the Tidebinder in their hand.
Yeah, the Tidebinder. The tricky thing about Tidebinder is you do need that trigger to go on the stack. You can't just delete its text box with nothing happening there. So there are some narrow windows sometimes.
And interestingly, letting this Teferi resolve, most likely thinking that on Brian's turn we can go to combat, attack down this Teferi. Ooh, pick up the Shardless. Love this play. Because if Brian replays the Shardless, they hit Renin 6 and it gets Legend ruled anyways.
It also gives you a free attack into Brian's Teferi there.
Wow, just cleaning up so many stuff. Our Control Master at work. But remember, no matter who takes this game down, if it's George, you got to try to win a 3rd game too.
Exactly. Let's find out how much time we got left on the clock here.
Uh-oh. As this prismatic ending answers a little bit more of our troubles. And now these life totals are also so high.
We're going to discard here for George? I think
A
we
show
might
of strength. Picking it up, going back. Brian here with a very aggro force, but George unlocked. Brian does not have a Teferi anymore, so George can finally interact at instant speed again.
We have 15 minutes left on the clock. Does that include coverage time? Do they have? Okay, yeah. So they have 15 full minutes here to complete their matches. If George wins here, he needs to get another game out of Brian.
Brian got to cash in their Ren and 6 minus to kill off this Teferi, but George got to cash in a counterspell they've probably been stuck with for a long time to answer an Omnath.
Finally gonna see a big attack here. Take George down to 12 to Brian's 23. Gonna take 3 damage from this ring bird encounter.
Down to 9. Our win con might be George's ring.
We'll see, we'll see. We've definitely seen both these players get very low in life total and deck size from their rings.
And Brian, again, now with all the Teferis gone, it's back to possibly being Tidebinder time.
Solitude will crash in, take out the Ren and 6, and bring George's life total back up a little bit. We're down at 23 to 12.
And what might be happening is Brian could catch this ring here if we wanted to.
George is going to activate the ring here. Brian will crack a fetch response, and I think we're going to see a Tashana's Tidebinder come down.
I just want to say, if George had their own Tidebinders, in that exact moment, we could have stifled the fetch land, and then Brian would not have had enough to try to cast their own Tidebinder.
Ooh, that sounds really fun.
The
I like
Stone
that.
Rain Spice, that's what we've got on camera today. We're shutting down Urza Sagas, we're stifling fetch lands. That's what I like.
Is George rocking his own Tidebinders?
I don't think so.
Let's
George
take a look
said
here.
earlier today, gosh, I need Tidebinders.
Yeah, that card is hot.
Big
no,
fan,
none
big
in
fan.
here.
Well, we'll figure it out.
And
next
he
time.
said he was gonna bring 80 cards tonight. What a liar! Just
Nah.
a 60 card deck.
He told me he was gonna bring 6 + 9, but he didn't do that either.
See,
As Georgia plays the reason for their Black Splash and plays this Orcish Bowmaster.
amass an orc army here, and we got a bit of a board presence starting to amass on Georgia's side of the field here.
And we did get a Tidebinder going on this ring.
So this Tidebinder is
Yep.
on the ring. The
Because
other one was on
George doesn't
something
want
else.
to lose the life, so he's
Mhm.
going to choose to have this ring locked down.
Indeed, indeed.
Which, remember, the Tidebinder tracks to specifically this ring. So if George plays any future rings, those will not be locked by that Tidebinder. It is specifically this ring to this Tidebinder.
Good to note there. I think I saw a Shark Typhoon. No, that can't be right. In
That
George's
would be
hand?
so sick.
I saw an extended art something. See if he flashes it again.
We know there's a Shardless that got bounced to hand a while ago.
Got a
There's
Lorien
Lorien's,
revealed.
And I believe there's a Leyline Binding might be the last card. Boop, Brennan
Oh,
6 is here.
nice and easy there. First card off the top. On the stack.
And it's interesting for George, it's like you kind of care and you kind of don't all at the same time. This Ren, answers this Bowmaster, but that might not be worth your counterspell in your hand.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of much more impactful cards in Brian's deck than a little pinger.
Rings, follow up to fairies, any of those, we'd much rather have that counterspell.
Go to combat here, swinging with the Tiebinder and the Elder Deep Fiend.
This
The
Bowmaster
stats.
gonna be able to put in work. Just we're gonna block with our little leftover orc.
The stats on the Deep Fiend are nothing to sneer at
5/6,
here.
huge. So much so that it is good enough to Leyline Binding.
Where
and
did it
then
go?
take it back.
It slipped off the edge of the table there. But instead, we're just gonna block and take a few points of damage here from the Tidebinder.
I would think George here is going to cash in this token to make sure that Brian doesn't play something impactful at the end of this turn. And then George may use their end step or later turns to binding the Deep Fiend, knowing that Brian doesn't play something more impactful.
Indeed, indeed. We'll go back to George's turn here.
But Brian's hand is their own binding and a Lorien revealed.
Indeed. Lot of card overlap between these two players.
Much overlap.
I would like to say pretty different decks still.
Yes. Play differently, but a lot of the same questions and answers.
Brian will attempt to cast a Leyland Binding, and it will get negated, force of negation.
Yeah, forcibly negated.
By George here.
A lot of people call it the force negation Fawn. Have you heard this?
Fawn? Oh, FON.
Fawn. And I always hear when people are on streams, I'm like, what? And they're like, the force of negation.
Do you pronounce abbreviations, or excuse me, what's the word for it? At acronyms?
Do I
Uh,
say
d-
FONs or do I say fun?
yeah.
Fun, right?
Fawn?
But then
Really?
BTB, LOL, LOL. There's a lot
That's
of
fair.
there's a
That's
lot of
fair.
options in the world.
Half of becoming a Magic commentator and a Magic player is learning what all of the acronyms mean.
Yes. Or what old deck names mean. You're like,
Oh,
why is it called Death and
absolutely.
Taxes?
What is Dead Guy Ale?
It's something you don't want to drink.
Play a land here into an Omnath, gain some life.
Yeah,
Back up to 13 here for George.
George has the ring going. We have the Omnath going. But Brian is incentivized for this game to go on forever.
Yeah? Why do you say that?
Because he won the first one. The
Oh,
control player's curse.
yep.
Brian's in no rush.
George is naturally on the back foot here. But that's where he's used to being, and he's got a
Mhm.
lot of experience fighting back.
With probably less than 10 minutes on the clock, George needs to figure this out and figure out a whole nother game after this.
I think at this point we're maybe just playing to the tie. I don't think either of these players expect to finish a full game 3.
Yeah, I don't know about a third game, but the thing is you need to at least try to finish this one.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot of action still to go here. Deck sizes still looking fine, even with all these ring draws.
And here's Boseiju just
Boseiju?
cashed in to just remove cards that Brian has in play.
Grab.
Brian figuring out if we even have any lands left to get. Looks like we at least have a foundry here.
I think we got a couple left here. Crash in. Even up these life totals a little bit. We're at 13 to 14 here. Just a deep fiend on Brian's side of the field after that Charlotte's agent goes away.
And this ring is unlocked, so George is going to continue now to take damage once again. And
Mm-hmm.
Brian might be able to pair together, just remove this Omnath, combat +2 of your own ring triggers might just be enough.
He's still got a Solitude, though. That's a lifelink blocker right there.
Why did they give this card lifelink?
Because each of the elementals, they gotta get one. They gotta have a keyword.
Yeah, but only some get flash.
Right. Three of the 5.
Yeah. Solitude. Now the question is, do we care about George's Solitude or do we care about their Omnath? Who's first?
I think the Omnath for sure there. It's got life gain and some stuff. So
and you can maybe trade off your Solitudes.
Mm-hmm.
But now this Deep Fiend can pick off the Renin 6 or start picking off George's life total.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you just swing face here.
And George has
Renin
so many
6.
cards. Yeah. Brian, I think we're checking. George, when you draw so many cards with the one ring, George plays a lot of free interaction, force of negation, solitude, subtleties, to be able to best utilize drawing all these cards off the ring. I like Brian checking the graveyard to figure out how many solitudes have you gone through? Like, where are things, can they possibly be in your hand? To know how much to play around, what interaction to be worried about.
Absolutely. This Elder Deep Fiend will swing at the Renin 6 and clear that up. George down to no planeswalkers.
And I don't know about attacking the Renin 6 because George doesn't really need a Renin 6 at this point in the game. But what he definitely doesn't need is 5 points of life.
Yeah, I would be swinging face there as well. Especially with that clock. I think that turn gives you a whole extra turn swinging at Renin 6 there, if my math is correct.
Yeah, George was at 19. These chunks in for 5 would have been huge. And it's like, removing Renin 6, well, if George needs ones that badly, they can dig 6 cards deep and just probably find another one.
Right.
But with all these options in hand, George, move a little faster, buddy.
We're running out of time, man.
Make a choice. Slam it down. Your opponent has 2 cards in hand. You'll be okay. Whatever it is.
I saw him checking deck size. It's starting to look a little slim.
It's because Narset. And the Days Undoing's gone already. We've already played through Narset Days Undoing this game.
Indeed. Remember what I said? Like, usually that can close out games, but George still had a lot of winning left to do, and he hasn't quite gotten there yet.
No, he has not. This is indeed game number 2. We're sub 10 minutes on the clock here with Brian Tepper up a game.
We'll grab a ring there so we know we're not going to be dying to bird encounters anytime soon. Use lightning bolts to clean up the solitude there.
Very important for the swing of this game overall. But George with this ring on 5 maybe should also be on the hunt for this backup ring.
There you go.
Allowing you to get that reset, get some extra card here.
This is game 2. Brian won game 1. We're in our backup match here. We already saw a full hammer burn matchup. These guys are still hanging out here.
Yeah, hammer burn long gone. They've already went and got snacks and dinner and stuff together, but
That's why Adam started playing Burn. I don't know if you said that, so that he could go
Lunch
to
breaks.
he could go to Burger King in between rounds.
And the years have gone by.
Indeed, we're all aging as we watch this game continue to trundle on here.
The thing is being in these games is sometimes really fun.
Absolutely, these players are having tons of fun.
Yeah.
This is their bread and butter here, playing against each other. This is gravy. Elder Deep friends
This is
swinging
just Ambush
in.
Viper. We're just gonna block this Deep Fiend now for 2 turns. Block it this turn with the token.
Mm-hmm.
Next turn, block with the actual Bowmaster. And if Brian tries to draw
Or
any
not.
cards, we can just make more.
I think we'll shoot down the Bowmaster here with the Ren 6. I don't think we need any more lands unless this Ren 6 doesn't even resolve, which it won't.
It won't.
Pitch a counter spell to play Force Negation. Well, back to George's turn. Don't forget to activate that ring first. There you go.
There it is. Untippity Tappity, take the 1 and go to 13. So far away from none. And now George is the one amassing a board state.
Indeed. He's amassing a lot of lands.
There's
a
his
land
binding
mass.
from turns upon turns ago. Did you see this? George has changed his speed. It is go time.
George has talked a lot about when control players need to flip that switch, going from a control to a, instead of not losing the game, into winning
Try to win
the game.
And this is the moment. We found our backup ring.
Indeed.
We can feel pretty safe. We can dig with this one.
George sitting up in his seat a little bit even.
Because George needs 1, maybe 2 counterspells, and this game is over.
He pitched one to the Force Negation, but obviously you need to grab a blue spell. I don't think
Get
he's got
this
many
fairy
more.
out of here.
Oh! Another Force
Yeah,
Negation.
it's hard to cast that one.
Easy peasy.
We know the last card in Brian's hand is Lorien, and this might be over.
Gonna besage you?
Yep, we're just cycling through using our mana.
I'll turn sideways again. Brian down to 4 now.
Yep.
George creeping up with that lifelink on the Solitude up to 17 here.
George with exactly 4 power in play, just going to sit behind the ring and some counter magic. And Brian needs to draw like 3 cards, and we're only going to have 1 to work with here.
Ooh, I think it was land.
Which definitely won't be it.
Definitely won't be it.
Oh, yeah, pass back. Make him do it. Double Bowmaster, and that's the game. The question is,
do we play a third?
Are they even going to try?
We'll take a look. We'll show off the deck lists here at the very least.
Yeah, just a quick peek.
See
just
what
for the
these
folks at
players
home
are
to see
working
what's
with.
going on. This rhino-less rhinos versus 5-color mess.
Do we have those deck lists available? Here we go. We got the jab pile. 5-color jab pile. George was in the booth the last couple of weeks, so he had Marty piloting it. Now is able to play it himself. Only 60 cards, not even a cheeky 61st.
An interesting choice made here, since, we might as well chat about it. 4 Narsets in the main, but the Days and Doings are in the sideboard. So that's only for if those matchups are worth it. If they're like, this is the time, this is the moment, those are when they'll bring it in. And I see them, looks like we're going pretty close to time. I can already see them de-sideboarding. This is the glory that is 5-color cards George likes. But sometimes the games just go a little bit too long.
Indeed, indeed. We're starting League in a couple of weeks here, so George may be a little more incentivized to actually win his games here. But for now, that'll wrap up our round 2 coverage. Before we head into our break, let's take a look at our weekly schedule here. We've got a slew of different kinds of games for you to play in addition to different formats of Magic, so take a peek at all the different options that we have available. We're open all week this week, so if you've got some downtime while you're on break during the holiday, come on down and play some Magic, play some One Piece, Digimon, Pokémon, Lorcana, all that good stuff. We got it for you. With that being said, though, we're going to head into a quick break, pick out our round 3 features, and head on back over to you. Stay tuned.
See y'all very soon. I love you.
I love you. Welcome back, folks. We're in round 3 of 4 here at our lovely Wednesday Night Modern, our very last Wednesday Night Modern of the year. It's so good to have you here. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that follow button. As we get down into the action here, we got Luke versus Danny. Danny rocking Yawgmoth as always, and Luke rocking Scam, though we never quite know exactly what his deck is.
I think it's Black-White Scam.
Is it actually?
I saw a Sword of Fire and Ice in hand, and this card only has one purpose, and I see a grief. This is Orzhov Scamblade. We don't have a very good name yet.
Orzhov Scamblade, so we'll see some Stoneforge Mystics, I presume?
Oh, yeah. Stone Forges with the most likely 3 targets of Sword and Fire and Ice, Cauldra,
Mm-hmm.
and flavor to taste from there. I've seen a Lion Sash, which most likely is the most common of the third
Ooh, I
choice.
would love a Lion Sash against this a
Against
graveyard
Yogg?
based deck.
Yeah, I would love it against Yogg.
We'll see a Junji Ito Thoughtseize hit the deck here and an Agatha Soul Cauldron into the graveyard.
Yeah, but also Luke's life total, quick plummet. The fetch plus shock into Thoughtseize, putting yourself down to 15 right away. In the Godless Shrine, the best of the Unfinity lands.
Ooh, hot take maybe.
Look at this. This is gorgeous from a mile away.
I really like the spaceship. I like the overgrown
Oh,
too.
I hate the overgrowth
I know,
too.
that's why I said it.
That's 11 out of 10 for me.
11 out of 10.
All right, it's the worst on the list.
Oh man, oh man. We'll see a Wall of Roots come down for Danny's second turn. Here, we know he's got a Yawgmoth in hand as well as a Grist. 2 really important cards in this game plan for Yawgmoth.
Luke here online to Grief Ephemerate whenever they want, and it looks like the answer is now.
Yeah, we're going to pitch a Grief to play a Grief. This card was not good enough to get banned, apparently.
Hey, this card is going to eat up this Yogg and this Grist, and we're going to Ephemerate. Oh, no. So we're going to take Bowmaster Grist, leave the Yogg. We're going to Ephemerate this Grief, so when it comes back next turn, the Stranded Yogg, we're going to take that.
Unless you rip a land off the top here, and you can play the Yogg.
I think Danny drew a second Wall of Roots, which is not going to do it.
Not enough, unfortunately.
Oh, it was Colony Garden. Still not going to do it.
Because it comes in tap!
Maybe the only land that doesn't cast the Yogg.
Oh my goodness.
This Grief's coming back. Snap up your Yawgmoth. This deck has 0 cards in hand.
Oh man, you can't. Both these creatures have 0 power as well. It's an 0-1 plants, 0-5 Wall of Roots.
I like this. We can't attack with that Grief. It just came in. And there's a Dothy Voidwalker. Also incredible against Yawgmoth.
Dom is gleeful in the booth at seeing this deck
Scam
do its
fan,
magic.
And Solitude is a good choice. And the thing is figuring out what other white cards supplement this strategy and making it be Stoneforge and adding in that Blade package, as decks have been called. Really, and alongside Ephemerate, which is far better than Undying effects, allowing you to flicker your Stoneforge, flicker your Griefs, flicker your Solitudes, and then get to them again. A lot stronger than those black cards.
Yeah, playing a little bit of a Yorion game plan maybe without that card, because that you can't play that in Modern anymore. Very banned, much to George's dismay.
As we're seeing Fatal Pushes, we're seeing these Godzilla Swamps. Luke is feeling it with this deck today.
I like it. Very, very nice looking. Very
Sword of Fire and Ice.
Ooh, borderless one there. Very cool art. Is that Double Masters?
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.
In the red effect from this Sword of Fire and Ice, allowing you to shock things, we're just going to be able to pick off a lot of the creatures that Danny's going to try to put into play.
Right, it's been a hot minute since I've seen Sword of Fire and Ice.
You're on the big cube season right now?
No, I don't know. I don't touch Moto. It's scary. I stay with my little gamified arena.
Understood. As Danny finds this Dryad Arbor, well, Dryad Arbor is most likely here to block if it could. But the Grief having Menace and the Dothy having Shadow, if we want this sword to connect, we can make that happen.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that's going to be touching this Dothy. It's free to attack for as much as it wants.
And that would allow us to use the Sword of Fire and Ice trigger to shoot down the Dryad Arbor if you want.
Hey, no hitting on Luke over there. He's a married man now. Hands off in chats. Fresh off of a wedding. He's here. He's got the fire lit under him. He's got a 2-0 under his belt.
You see that new married glow at 2-0 with the blade. As Danny, maybe one of our local boogeymen, the classic 4-0 all the timer with Yogg, coming up with some struggle of having to play against an ephemerated Grief.
Yeah, he's doing his best. I mean, there's nothing really he can do here.
This is the part about Yawgmoth that I really didn't like, is sometimes your top decks are atrocious.
Yeah. I mean, this Iggy is not
so bad.
Not that great.
Like, since we got triple scammed, we've drawn land, Ignoble Hierarch.
We're looking for there is some stuff that could light a fire under us a little bit. A Grist could give us some more blockers to keep us alive, stall out the game a little bit more. Could start using Yogg to draw some cards.
And we have this sword trigger. If we had put the 3 damage from the Grief on the Wall of Roots, we could have added the 2 from the sword and gotten rid of the wall, which might be the only card in play that kind of even does anything to begin with. 4, we can just send it upstairs and drop Danny down to 6.
Yeah, it's the only blocker that is able to survive any of these attacks.
And Lucas has lethal in play. This Dothy will attack for 5 and then shoot 2 upstairs, and Danny is dunzo.
Dunzo.
And you can't block this shadow creature.
He's got a card in his hand. Maybe he's got some action. We'll see here. Land for turn there. Turn stuff sideways.
Yep. It
Gonna
looks like you're lining up some blockers.
Yeah,
Danny's doing my favorite thing, which is giving your opponent the chance to fail.
absolutely. Yeah, play until you're dead.
See, big block. Oh,
Oh, pump.
little
Is
bit.
there a Pendle? No, there's no Pendlehaven now.
No?
What am I doing?
Besage
Oh,
the sword.
let's go. Let's
You
go.
survived this turn by besaging the sword.
Very nice. A land that's not a dead draw here.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I love
If
to
you-
see that.
If you're gonna draw a land, at least be an impactful one.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is Luke's hand is still probably 2-3 spells of relevance.
Yeah, Danny's got 3 points of life to work with here. Not very much at all.
And if you thought Dothy was lethal last turn, it's lethal again this turn. Danny draws a
Delighted
mana dork,
halfling.
just stumble and a stumble and a stumble. None of those card draws being anything since the starting hand for Danny. And Luke, maybe easy peasy, able to rack up game number 1 for Orzhov Scam.
Yeah, difficult, lemon difficult for
Difficult,
Danny
difficult,
over
lemon
here.
difficult.
Let's see what he's working with, though. We got his full 75 submitted from him. So we'll see what he can bring out of his sideboard here to do a little bit of work against this Scam Stoneblade deck. We've got some Endurances, Fulminator Mage, a Rex Sage, Fatal Push, some Thoughtseizes, Go for the Throat, Legion's Edge, Terror Thunder, Force of Vigor, Chalice of the Void. A couple of one-ofs in this sideboard I'm digging. What do you like out of this?
I would like Go for the Throat because I want to kill whatever big threats that my opponent is putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
I may want these Thought Seizes, but it's interesting because some hands your opponent has you really want them against, and sometimes their hand's pretty empty and it could be useless. But on top of no matter what, I want these 2 Endurances. Endurance interacted pretty favorably against the old Scam plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I just realized if we're on the Ephemerate plan,
Yeah.
this Endurance doesn't stop any of our grief shenanigans. So the question will be is, does Luke have additional Scam effects, maybe on number 5 and number 6? Are they the black versions, like the you are not dead after all?
Mm-hmm.
And then the question being, who bring in these Endurances, do we get a lucky moment and tag those versions when something is looking to evoke? But the thing is when it's happening off an Ephemerate flicker, it's not that same interaction you're used to.
All right, so we've got potential game plan for Danny. We'll take a quick peek at what Luke might be working with, though. We've just grabbed this off of Goldfish, so this might not be his full 75, but it's a pretty basic foundation for what he's working with here. We see some Drannith Magistrates, Core Firewalkers, Torok, Dread Cantor, Lorn of the Third Path, Sholdrids, Vindicate, Chalices, Engineered Explosives, Cursed Totem, and a Batter Skull. We've seen a lot of Cursed Totems
Curse Totem.
go through this store in the past week.
Curse Totem and Shieldrids are at a minimum, I think, places that I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
Just Shieldred's an incredible answer to if a Yogg player needs to play the value plan, like use Yogg to draw cards. Your Shieldred can really punish them for doing all that, where each attempt to draw a card is 3 life taken away from them. And I know these Orzhov lists have floated between some number of Shieldred in the main and some in the board, so I would look for those to be a defining part of this game.
It also synergizes really well with the Castle Lochthwain in the main board. I love that card in interaction with Sholdred there. It
And
really
I've
helps.
seen some of these Orzhov lists that have Shieldred main and Rings main. So we'll have to see how big of a version of this deck Luke was playing. When you Grief Ephemerate, you don't get to play that many turns, and we don't get to see that much of the deck. But there'll be a lot to learn in these game 2 and possibly game number 3. But I felt pretty good in that first game, and we may not have too many sideboard pieces.
Yeah, I will also point out that Lion Sash in the main board of this example deck. That's the
If
card you
it's
mentioned
there.
earlier. Seems really good against this deck to already have in its main board.
It allows your 4 Stoneforges plus the Lion Sash plus your 4 Dothies to be kind of 9 main deck ways that you interact with your opponent's graveyard and death triggers, and you may be able to just supplement that with a couple out of the sideboard.
All right, let's head back down to the action. Those players are shuffling up. Danny will be on the draw here for game 2. See what he can do to disrupt Lucas's game plan here.
Very important one that the Yawgmoth deck gets to be on the play. But the hard thing is that Luke's deck, pairing this Grief plan alongside the Thoughtseize plan, we know this out of the classic old school, now banned Rakdos scam. that sometimes in decks when I played against them, I just kept loose sevens because I
Mhm.
was ready for half those cards to disappear.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you got in your hand if you're not gonna have
Right.
them in half a second.
Like I'd rather keep a 5-lander 2 spell than like a 2-lander 5 spell because like at least
Mm-hmm.
I have those lands. They can't take those from me.
Exactly, exactly. Players deciding on the starting sevens here. Look like Danny's pretty happy with it. Lucas is gonna tuck one and start with 6. First play from Danny will be a Young Wolf.
It's the Wheezy. Oh, and Luke's first drop return is the Cauldron. I think the one card you
Oh,
never want to draw while playing the deck.
never ever. We saw Hammer have it in their opening hand last time, and they tucked that very quickly to keep a 6.
Yeah, for Luke, it was the floating 8th card on top. Would have wished
Mhm.
you had to tuck it away, but if you draw your Stone Forges, it is still unlocked. You can find a different tool and just have the Cauldron just in case.
Indeed, indeed. We'll see what Danny can do here. On his second turn, he's got a Nurturing Peatland, which is going to be a little bit rough for him. Hurt him a bit on his mana there. Wall of Roots will help out with that, though. Nice mana dork for turn 2.
And the Godless Shine returns.
There it is in all its beauty.
And signed.
Pimped out. Folks, what's your favorite shock out of the Infinity full arts?
Stomping Ground.
You just said it was Godless Shrine.
I said the Godless Shrine is the prettiest.
Oh,
My favorite
I
is the
see.
Stomping
I
Ground.
see. I see. What makes it so great?
The comments are really funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like picture the dinosaurs just totally beefing it. As Stoneforge Mystic comes in here off this second Godless Shrine, and Luke, most likely on the hunt for the Lion Sash, this will be a big indicator of what card we have to work with.
It's not going to be Lion Sash, though. It's a sword.
A Feast and Famine, the Sword of Green and Black.
Oh,
Protection
man.
from Danny's deck. If I deal damage, you discard a card and I untap all my lands.
Oh, boy. That spells a lot of trouble for Danny.
This is such a surgical strike to take Danny down, to bring in a Sword of Feast and Famine.
I feel like Luke knows that there's a lot of Yawgmoth floating around at our locals and had this
a lot
boarded.
of Danny floating around, all right?
Indeed, indeed.
And last week, yeah, there were like 4 people yogging it up last
Yeah,
week.
Erman also plays Yogg, so we see him floating around.
Yeah, as you said last game, the Sword of Feast and Famine may make it difficult. Danny's going to try to piece things together. We're going to get this Grist. This Grist might have to eat this Stoneforge so that just nothing can carry the sword. But the question is that a great use of your impactful Planeswalker?
I think so. I think you got to slow this sword down. It's really scary. You don't want that on the board at all.
Danny agrees. We're going to pump up this Young Wolf just a little and send it on back.
We're not going to swing in at all here?
No one could have swung. The Young Wolf got eaten to the
Oh,
Grist and
I
all these
see.
0-power creatures.
Oh, and we can't swing him beforehand because it would, yeah. Gotcha.
Important to see what Luke's follow-up here is the Dothy. Wish they had it last turn, but the second best time to have it is right now. Right, allowing that if Danny gets any of these death triggers, they are going to get exiled instead. Whatever they mill from this Grist straight into the exile zone.
Cortical, not the best thing to see off the top there. Get you 1 insect for your troubles, though. And it'll get eaten into the void by the Dothy Voidwalker as well.
Using, looks like a large chunk of our mana. I think Daddy's home. It might be Yoggin time. And there he is.
There he is, the Thran Physician himself, namesake card of the deck here. Get it up on the screen here for folks, just in case they aren't familiar. If you're newer to Modern here, it's a pretty relevant deck in the meta.
I think we're going to use our board to possibly remove this Dothy from play.
Let's see here.
Because we could use these tokens to reset the Young Wolf and then sack the Young Wolf to put a counter on the Dothy, rinse and repeat with the second token, net a handful of cards, and the removal of the Dothy from play.
We will lose a life for each of these cards that we draw, though, so that can get a little bit scary.
Do a little
or
dance
we can
to get
do
down tonight.
Start going to town here.
Well, I think we're going to start because we need to remove this Dothy from the board. But then we can start doing the Young Wolf tricks. And if we use both of our tokens, we can remove this Dothy from play. We'll be at 13. We have 12 cards that we can search through in our deck. If any of those top 12 are Court of Calling, we can win right now this turn.
Yes, we can Court of Calling for a Blood Artist.
Yeah, right. And then continue the dance and end the game. The question is how good do you feel about those 12 and how risky are you feeling?
We've seen Danny dig before and not find it.
And then get to about 3 points of life, realize the troubles they've made.
Indeed.
But if you do those top 12 and it's like the 8th card and you just kill your opponent, That sure is a great feeling.
We've already hit one Chord of Calling as
Right.
well, so there's one fewer left in the deck. Might have Danny a little bit more uncertain about going that far in his dig.
And I would be uncertain here viewing the game at large. We know that Luke has Solitudes in their deck.
Mm-hmm.
Danny may not have even seen Solitudes yet. We didn't see them in game number 1. And if Danny tries to just like start going for a combo, Luke can just break it up with a Solitude and just end Danny's whole game plan.
Exactly. We're back on Luke's turn, though. We'll see what he tries to do here. Taking a peek at the full text box of Grist. It's got a couple lines of text there that could be relevant. Its ult could be used to kill you if, well,
If
the
there was a
Dothy.
graveyard, right?
Yeah, there's no graveyard currently, but that's been something that Danny's used in the past. Also helps you a massive board state with that plus there.
And interestingly, Danny used one of our tokens to give this Dothy minus, but didn't fully complete the job. And now we see Luke on their turn playing this Solitude.
Gonna play the Solitude. Hasn't picked a target yet. We're gonna see if Danny has any responses before it hits the field here. How many times he wants to do.
Yeah, because Danny can draw a large number of cards here if they want before having to deal with it.
We're gonna put that last -1/-1 counter on the Dothy. Clean up that board there.
And now we can dance with these wolves. Dances with wolves.
Dances with Wolves.
Whoa.
It's a great movie.
That's a good name for a Yogg deck list.
Ooh.
Yep. Yep.
We're gonna demonstrate the loop here first before we begin to do it. You're gonna trade off +1/+1 counters with these wolves. Go back and forth here.
Yep. Now they're both untapped. We can just move the dice back and forth. Oh yeah. We're drawing. We're finding more wolves. We're finding strangle roots.
Yeah, make sure you do each part of it here. Oh, make sure you hit that. There you go. Move the counter, draw a card, tap down your life.
Yep.
3 steps here to the process. Make sure you do each one of them.
You could ask your opponent nicely to just kind of shortcut through it and just never move the die because both
Yeah.
of the wolves will be summoning sick. But here's the chord, and if Luke has an answer while their Solitude floats on the stack, do you have a second before Danny goes combo-rific with the Dances with Wolves?
Luke's gonna pick up his hand here off camera, so we're not gonna get a glimpse
Only
at
Luke
it.
gets to know, but Luke
Yeah.
hasn't scooped up their cardboard yet. So now Danny, you can see giving pause to, well, I've seen your Solitude. I did already cast this chord. If I try to go for it and you just break it up, you're having Hapatra
Oh,
instead.
interesting. What do you think of this play? I would have just gone for it, but that's me.
I think Danny is about to amass a lot of snakes.
Yeah.
And then
Let's get Hapatra up on the board here for folks at home. Dom affectionately refers to this as the machine gun.
yeah, this it could be, yeah. Luke won't have the creatures to gun down, so instead, while we use our young wolves to move back and forth, each time could also net a snake. So if Danny wanted, looks like we don't want even at all. I think.
Oh, and here's not dead after all, so we're going to get another
And it's gonna be able to
Solitude
tag
trigger.
This Hapatra now.
So pretty heads up play.
And the endurance coming up because this is the old school scam move. While that Solitude's in the graveyard, shuffle that back to the bottom, and you will not get that second Solitude.
All right, some good points of interaction here.
Well, those are all 3 of the pitch elementals legal in this game here. No Solitudes to be seen from these players, but the other 3 have all come to full effect in these 2 games.
I think the chatter might be correct. I don't think we resolved the life gain off the Yawgmoth getting solituded.
That could be true. That could be true.
All right, so we'll go have our producer check in with our players real quick here to get that rectified.
And
Thank
we
you very
know
much.
players are keeping life total on pad and also helping us keep up. So just make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Make sure everything's kosher here. There might be a subtlety? I don't know about that one. I only know a couple players that play that, and he doesn't even play that card anymore. All right, we've got everything corrected here. 13 to 10.
Luke has an attack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Danny.
It's okay. Yes, for Danny, sorry. Against Luke. Which will be a start here for this aggro comeback. Luke did use a lot of our resources to try to do all those points of interaction.
We got not the biggest board, but we've got some stuff to work with here. That Wall of Roots gonna generate the mana. Strangle Root Geist has haste.
Yeah, this is taking it from a 3-turn clock to now we have a 2-turn clock in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power could be coming across this turn.
Had
And
another
another
Yawg
Yawg.
in hand.
With now currently at 9 points to work with, we could dig 8 cards deeper. We've gone through 3 Court of Callings, I think.
All right, count out the damage here.
Hit you for 7. Trigger this Hapatra, put a negative counter somewhere, get myself a snake. Hapatra does also have the combat trigger to put a negative counter on something. We'll heal this young wolf of its +1 counter with this -1. Thank you, Hapatra, and supplement it with this snake. Luke's gonna take a peek at their top card and scoop it up on to game number 3.
All right, we had 2 great games there. Both of these decks demonstrated their game plan pretty well. Scam wins a lot faster than Yawgmoth does. Yawg
Yes.
can win pretty fast, but managed to win there with an overwhelming board state.
Yeah, Yawg is incentivized. The longer the game goes, the more likely it is in their favor.
Now with players on the opposite play draw, their sideboard plans may change a little bit here. Looks like both. Oh, my
Oh.
goodness.
Danny, where was that at?
Is that...
We got Hapatra because we couldn't get the kill.
Did he
Interesting.
accidentally sideboard it out, or did he purpose...
We've all been there. Only one way to find out, and that's we'll ask Danny later.
All right. I'm glad we didn't switch off the camera there.
And Luke here going to be on the play, most likely on the hunt for the Grief hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might see some hard mulligans here if we're not seeing the exact hand we're looking for.
Yeah, the thing that's very interesting about this version of Black White Scam is you don't have the option to just like slam turn 1 Ragavans like you did in the Black Red version, and instead you're having these like Stone Forges. You're looking to play a much longer game, supplemented by how much damage you did in that first turn of like taking cards away from your opponent, but doesn't have the full closing speed of cards like Ragavans and Fury that we saw out of the Black Red version, which I think already shows you the difference, right? This isn't like kill you ASAP because it needs time itself to set things up, which means your opponent's gonna have more time to recover, which can show you a difference in strength of kind of these new versions of Scam versus just how powerful the old ones were.
Absolutely. I think that's really well said. I really like seeing how the Scam deck has morphed since the ban. I know a lot of people were very critical of the cards that did and did not get hits, but there's still a lot of game to be played, a lot of meta to shape, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do with the cards at your disposal.
Absolutely. This is a cool version, right? Playing with Stoneforge in a... This is what people thought was going to happen to Stoneforge Mystic when it was first unbanned. Like, decks galore, these mid-range strategies, control strategies, they're just going to have these Stoneforge packages, and they're going to get Battle Skulls and Coldras, and they're just going to be able to grind you out of every game. Instead, just Hammer, and no one else touches Stoneforge.
No one except for Luke.
Right, now figuring out how to best supplement the black package. Do you go with like these green splashes that I've seen Golgari Scam did well over the weekend, playing Tarmogoyf
Whoa,
as their green cards?
No way.
There's these black-white versions playing Solitudes and Stoneforge and possibly Shielded Ring and playing a bigger strat. There's the Rakdos version still around there, just supplementing out what Fury spots were for a few more removal and just moving on with it.
Right, we saw the tournament in Europe. This 700-player tournament still got taken down by Rakdos Scam just a couple weeks after the card got banned.
Yes. Or there's folks out there thinking we should be playing Black-Blue Scam and leaning on that like Dimir Lord of the Rings like ring strategy that was really popular maybe 6 months for a while there, that's kind of just fade off in the aether. People are excited to play the Grief package. They just can't figure out what to pair with it yet.
Yeah, that's the nice thing, though. There's a bunch of different things you could pair it with. There's a bunch of different flavors of Grief that you can give a try.
Yeah, who doesn't love good flavors of Grief?
You could say that there's stages of Grief. Players shuffling up here, though. Luke will be on the play for our final game of this match.
Scares me if I'm Danny, and especially if I start mulliganing.
And he kept a full 7. Yeah. That's terrifying.
The Snap 7, I have Scam hands. Those are the ones that feel the best. Oh, and a part of the thing that I think is interesting of this deck not being one with access to Ragavan is I do think there is probably a version of Lucas's deck that has Stalactite Stalker taking that 1-drop aggression spot.
I do not know that card. What's it do?
1 mana, 1/1 Menace Goblin that at the beginning of your end step, if you've descended, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Oh, is it a new card from Ixalan?
Yes. So if you play it on
Oh.
turn 1 and crack a fetch to get it, you have a 2/2 menace. And
Oh
it
my
has
god,
a
I love
and it
him.
has a removal spell stapled to it. So people have been playing.
Sacrifice gets -X, -X. Okay, all right, all right.
This is a Ragavan, right? That can grow, and possibly by the time it's dealing damage, it could be a 4-power, 5-power, 6-power menace creature. You can keep cycling through descending with your cards, such as sacrificing to evoke or sacrificing a fetch land.
All right, we're gonna get started here in game 3. We've got a Thoughtseize. Took a Delighted Halfling out of Danny's hand. We'll see a Wall of Roots as his turn 2. He's got a Quarter Calling and an Orcish Bowmaster revealed from the Thoughtseize to Lucas.
Reprieve. Pick it up. Pick it up. Put that card back in your hand.
And a Time Walk, essentially, from Luke,
Yes.
putting that Wall of Roots back into Danny's hand.
Big reprieve fan. Love the feel of playing this card of
Oh man, let me
pick
see
it
what
up.
else you got now. Oh boy, lots of good choices here.
So we have a wall and
No
a
more
Bowmaster as
lands in his
castables,
hand. Oh my gosh.
and the Cord, Grist, and Yogg are locked behind needing to get additional land drops. So we saw Luke on their first Thoughtseize took a Delighted Halfling, right, to really slow down Danny's hand and kind of take a land, right? And now we're following this up with figuring out how to take a Surgical Strike to take care of the rest of this hand. And Grist feels about right, allowing them to just take away what could be your one payoff for drawing a land and straining you with a lot of stuff that you're not quite ready for.
Yeah, we have ways to deal with creatures on the board, so hitting the Wall of Roots isn't great because if you hit a land, you get a Grist.
And here's
But
the wall again.
Doesn't look like we hit a land, so we'll just play the wall.
Looks like a Bowmaster of our own. Now, interestingly, you know that Danny has a Bowmaster, and they're very incentivized to play their own Bowmaster on missing their land drops. And the best answer to a Bowmaster is a Bowmaster, which makes me feel like I want to hold on to mine to answer theirs that I guaranteed know about. But it looks like Luke has a Solitude in hand and may have the future answer for Bowmaster also just lined up.
Indeed, indeed. Does he have a card to pitch to the Solitude, though? He's already up to 4
Yeah, we
mana,
might
so
just
that
get to
might not
5
be
mana.
relevant. Swinging here, no blocks from the Wall of
Interesting.
Roots.
Danny does indeed find a land, but no double black for this Yawgmoth. We have Beseiju Forest, Blooming Marsh.
Ooh. That's rough, buddy.
It's very hard. Yawgmoth is a double black card in a basically mono green deck.
Found another Grist, though. Get some blockers at the very least.
Yeah, our 1/1s trade really well for the sea of 1/1s that Lucas is currently working with.
Gotta tick up here. Nothing we want to hit. Ooh.
Soul
Rough
Guardian gone.
hit. See the disappointment on Danny's face there. Just the one insect token. Heck at the Soul Culture. We have not seen hit the board yet for Yawgmoth. Really, really neat card that got added from Wilds of Eldraine. Does a lot in this deck.
But I am not complaining because the amount of complexity it adds to a game once it hits play is astronomical.
Indeed, indeed. My mind gets a little bit tangled up with all that stuff in the soup.
Once you put all that stuff in the soup,
Yeah.
we've drawn the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Ooh, that seems really good. Usually don't want to hit one of your fetchables. Well, I guess it's just Cauldra. You don't want to hit.
Yeah, this sword, and it might even be worthwhile, right? We said we're already creeping towards 5 mana. We technically have this 4 here. But we can also see from Danny, they can't really cast Yogg. They Bowmasters could take down something, but we could equip it to the other thing next turn. But Grist could minus a deal with one of our things.
We're gonna.
We have a Not Dead After All to go with this Solitude. So our plan is to just clear Danny's board and get our 4/3 Solitude into play. It looks like we're going according.
Yeah, might as well get some value out of these creatures before they're gone. But when he Not Dead's After All with the Solitude, he's just gonna hit whatever you cord for.
And I think, Danny, we're courting for 1, so we're either after a Mana Dork or a Young Wolf. And if we hit Wolf, that's definitely being eaten by the brought back Solitude.
Solitude exiles, so it doesn't matter if that thing's got Undying.
Danny, who we on the hunt for? 1, 2, 3. Yep, let's see you cord for 1. And it's hard because you kind of want to get a Mana Dork just because you've been having all these mana troubles and want access to double black. But then you're just showing that I need this double black, and when the Solitude comes back, you're going to take that away from them. There's no good answer.
No. I think Danny's found himself in a pickle again. Scam on the play is really good. He's been struggling to be on the front foot here.
Right. See, we're gonna find this light halfling, which is access to a black source,
Hmm.
but we're going to be able to use this not dead after all, bring back this solitude in response to evoke ability, and
Look
eat
like
that halfling.
Danny
Yep.
was very resigned and kind of expected that there.
Yep. That's the response.
Yep.
Yep. You just know it's coming for you. Have that halfling gain your point of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Luke's last card is that Sword of Feast and Famine that we can use exactly our leftover 3 mana to put into play to equip it up next turn.
Oh, and he is held
Yeah.
that no cards in hand, but that's a really good one to
Yeah.
play.
Because Danny's best answer to this sword would be a Boseiju. One's already in play, so the top deck has to be it, or we're going to start really feeling the pressure of this Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, it's gonna start pulling cards out of his hand.
Right. We're going to most likely lose either this Yogg or this Bowmaster, whichever one we don't cast, which is
Mhm.
probably likely to cast the Bowmaster.
I don't think. Well, he can't cast the Yogg still,
Right.
unless
We
we
need
rip
a land here.
rip a black source here.
Yep. It
No,
looks like a second Yogg from that quick flash I saw
I
there.
thought it was a green card.
There's no way to know.
All right, let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, very important what Danny does with their available resources because Lucas can start taking a lot of them away from them.
Geist off the top is one more insect off the Grist Plus.
Debating, thinking. And it's hard because you kind of want to use this Bowmaster. Maybe pick stuff off. It was a young wolf that we had drawn for turn. Good spot on that being a green card.
Thank
And
you, thank
allowing
you.
us access to the Bowmaster on Luke's turn, which
Mhm.
means I'm putting this sword on this Solitude and we're going to work.
Oh yeah, put it on the life gainer too.
Yep.
Seems great.
And Danny's going to be forced to discard the Yawgmoth if they want to cast Bowmaster, or discard the Bowmaster and do nothing with our remaining points of mana.
Yeah, I think you at least get this Bowmaster out on the field.
Luke brought this Sword of Feast and Famine with a plan for the day, and then they're going to go back home to the buddies, to the Discord, be like, I brought the sword, and the sword did exactly what I said the sword was going to do.
He's gonna go home a champion, man.
Coming in with that Solitude, taking down the Grist. Very importantly, when this hits a walker, it will not trigger any of the sword abilities.
Just clarifying that.
Just
quick
killing
read.
a Grist and gaining our 6 points of life.
Yes.
Going up to 22 by my math. Oh, yeah. Remember, sword not triggering because we went to the walker instead.
We'll play out this Bowmaster, ping the other Bowmaster, and get our own Orc token here.
You know what the best answer to a Bowmaster is?
A Bowmaster.
The Bowmaster. Bows are good against bows.
I'm a quick study. You said it earlier, and I kept it in my brain.
Yeah. The second Bowmaster is usually the one that wins. But then the third Bowmaster. Uh-oh. And then the fourth one?
And then a Solitude with a Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, right. We can fight over these little Bowmasters, but the 6/5 pro green pro black might be the real problem.
Indeed. Oh, we've found a black
He's here.
source. Slam the Yogg.
Does it matter?
We have a young wolf. We can pitch to it real quick. Get a card. You can throw some insects under too if you want.
Yeah, we can start amassing cardboard. The issue is, I don't know if there's a single way we can remove this Solitude.
Let me look at his sideboard again. He did have like a tear asunder.
Yeah, but this
Could
thing is
do
pro
that.
green pro. Oh, to tear us under the sword proper. I see you. Yeah, and Boseiju, it'll do it, but the one's already in play.
All right, we're gonna draw a card here off Yogg.
Yeah, you said starting with the wolf, the easiest one to start digging for cards.
Indeed.
And the hard part is, yes, Danny has answers to the sword in their 75. The answer is in the 60 that they decided to play.
All right, Danny not going down without a fight. He's gonna turn some stuff sideways, even up our life totals to 18 to 16 here. Might as well, because we can't block with them.
Right. Definitely not blocking with these. And this Solitude now with no walkers to go after, we are going to get this trigger when hitting Danny.
Do some life total swings here. 24 to 10. Give me that card.
Must be discarded. Get it out of here.
Oh, I don't know. Oh.
It was the Boseiju.
Oh, I don't know if Danny realized what was happening.
I think Danny just realized their one answer got stuck in their hand and then got taken away by the thing it was.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, he played out the Yawgmoth, drew it, and then
yeah,
couldn't.
we had no idea that was the card. It's just so
Mhm.
daggering for that to have been the card that
Yeah,
we
because you
drew.
played land for turn in order to play the Yawgmoth. You couldn't even get it out of your hand.
Yep. But now we're just on the hunt for something.
Does he play more than two Bosages?
Yeah, we're
No.
definitely
No,
close.
he does not.
I think. Oh, we have Cord. This Cord's going to get our second piece of the Yogg engine. We have 9 life, so we'll have 8 cards that we can dig. We might be on desperation hunt. And because we have mana available,
Oh.
we need one of our 3 remaining Cords or the Blood Artist needs to be in those top 8 cards. And Luke's last card needs to not be a Solitude.
Mm.
Just a few things.
Yeah.
But I
If
think,
everything lines
yeah,
up, we're fine.
but I think if none of those things happen, the game is over.
Oh, man.
Because Danny's either going to use too much of their life total and immediately die, or die in this 2-turn combo.
He's coordinating for how much currently?
This is the cord for 2, most likely on the hunt for Strangleroot, guys, just to utilize the most amount of our mana that we can.
What if you just cord for 4 and grab like a Sholdred and then I don't know, you get some good stuff there?
Or cord for 1 for this Haywire Mite. I was just thinking, if we have the Haywire Mite still in the deck, but instead we're going to get the Cutthroat now, we can sack Wolf, sack Halfling, sack Insect. That's 5.
Mm-hmm.
Sack Bowmaster. But the thing is we're just gaining our own life back.
Mm-hmm.
We're not dealing near enough to Luke. But if we can
Start-
draw enough cards, we're going to start with getting the Blood Artist effect now. Then we can dig some number of cards deep, sacrificing these creatures in play on the hunt for any of our remaining Undying creatures, which is a much higher number, right? You're much more likely to draw an Undying creature or a Cord than you are to draw your Cutthroat and a Cord.
Does Cutthroat not drain? Is that only Blood Artist?
Cutthroat does. So you see Luke's currently at 21
Okay,
currently.
Danny hasn't ticked himself up at all. Oh, because he loses life from
Yep.
the Yogg trigger. Oh. Okay.
And now there's this Shieldred in play, which allows all of our Yawgmoth activations. We lose 1, but draw a card and gain 2. So we're gaining a life now each time we go through this loop.
There we go. But we don't have 2 Undying creatures. That's what we need.
Right, but we do just have these creatures. We can sack this Bowmaster, this Wolf, this Halfling, this Insect, and if we really want to start plunking away.
Land for turn will be a Hive.
And I think Luke has to get in with this because we need those points of life and we need Danny to not have them.
Absolutely. We're going to tick up 2 life from Tom the Spectator. Don't think it was correct. That's been changed back. I think maybe he made the same mistake as me looking at the Cutthroat.
Well, what happened is we missed the drains from the Cutthroat. We see Luke went down to 19, but Danny's saying, I don't net life yet. I will start netting life now.
All right, their life total's cleaned up.
And now we're taking the damage
resolving
from
the
sword.
Solitude. Rip a card. He gets to pick at the very least.
Blooming Marsh.
Easy. We also have this Nurturing Peat land to help us, though. I don't know how Danny feels going down a mana.
Yeah, we have a few looks. Well, we gain life each time we do this, so I'm not worried about our life total anymore. We're on the hunt for this card exactly.
There you go.
That's the game.
All right. Now that you have 2 Undying
dance.
creatures, we can go back and forth forever.
Yeah, Luke, what's your last card? Is it an answer? Does it break it up somewhere? Do we have it? We have these. The question is does Luke have an answer to these pieces in play?
All right.
And I
was
like,
look like
I saw
it.
Danny preparing to give the nugs. I think we're here. And that's the game. Really scraping it together the hard way for Yawgmoth and still assembling our combo. Really showing that if you search out, say, this Cutthroat first, so you can try to find the other pieces, understanding that you have more of some things in your deck, upping your odds of every moment, had to use every card to really get through that for Danny and scrape through, beating a boogeyman of old and a returning boogeyman scam, but a Yogg player going to 3-0 Nature is healing.
Nature is Healing Scam v Yogg. What a great few matches we had there. I really enjoyed those. If you're looking to discuss some more great Magic, though, how about you check out our Discord? You can find some people to jam with, discuss upcoming NRG events, discuss deck list, all that good stuff. Check out that QR code in the bottom right there to join our Discord. We'd love to see you there. Come and say hi.
There's
With
a
that,
lot of good
though,
emotes in there.
there's a lot of good emos. We added one last week. You'll love to see it. With that being said, though, we're going to head into our last round of the night. We're going to pick out some features for you and be right back. Stay tuned.
See y'all soon.
Bye. Welcome back, folks. We're in our final round of the night, and look who's back. I feel like we should just put Danny's name on one of the chairs in the feature match area at this point. He's here every single week. The man's really good at the game, and he's rocking a really good deck. Tom doing really great tonight as well. Hammer Timer. Hammer Timer versus Yogg
it's a
in the
Hammer Timer.
finals. Start off with the turn sideways Ginger Brute.
Now, I'm just saying, I think Danny loves playing against Hammer.
Yeah, a lot of small guys.
Yeah, and a sideboard of just more Besejus, Force of Vigors. The question is most likely just trying to like block and get through this first game, and then having most likely a lot of ways to fight back in game 2 and 3.
Indeed. We do have a Go for the Throat in the side, which might not be super great against
And
a couple
Terra
things.
Sunders, and a Reclamation Sage, and Fulminator Mages.
Yeah. That Ginger Brute now on the hunt for something to carry in lieu of this Delighted Halfling being a little bit of a blocker.
But the Delighted Halfling's kind of a blocker. If Thomas doesn't want it to block, then we can just boot up the you can't catch me on the gingerbread mode of this Ginger Brute and just get on through.
Right. Can't be blocked except with other creatures with haste.
Like a Strangleroot Geist.
Oh.
May come up, may come up. Good to know, good to know.
We'll see.
Could come up, you never know. As Danny getting set up here. Young Wheezy.
Start putting some blockers in Tom's path.
Right, because yes, Tom could make this quasi unblockable. Takes a lot of your mana. Inkmoth takes a lot of your mana, and we don't have the pieces set up yet.
I'd like to see a couple more pieces come together here for a Hammer player first. Esper Sentinel's not really one of them.
No.
And we'll get in with the Flying Inkmoth.
Putting Danny maybe a piece, a little point of infect.
A little bit of poison there. Do we have our poison?
Oh, oops.
No, I tried to use it last week. Yeah.
Shoot that down.
Oh no! Oh no!
The power of
the greed has gotten you.
Yeah, it's so odd. It's like, is it greed? Is it just kind of plunking in for points here and there? Both are definitely true, but this even shows just how easy it is to cash in your Bowmasters in this matchup too. Thomas is already looking at the sideboard. We're already checking out. Yeah, we're already looking at what cards we're bringing in here.
Wait.
Look at the strength of this hand. As we do Chord for 4, who knows what I could possibly be looking for? Oh, Trigger Sentinel.
This is insane. He's still playing the game.
When you know, you know. So
that is okay. He just added a card into his hand.
Nah, that's his side. That's a.
What are we doing, man?
just be fully ready.
I know they were discussing splits beforehand, so I don't know if this game even matters. Just wild to see those. He's like, you killed my Inkmoth. That's demoralizing. I'm over it already. Gonna shoot down.
Yeah, and just.
I feel like Tom's checked out of this game already. I don't know what's happened, man.
Yeah, it definitely happened very quickly. But also I can't really blame them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I feel like this is a runaway train at this point.
This board be yogging, right? Like no questions asked. And basically any creature Thomas puts into play is just gonna be munched and eaten up by whatever Danny wants to do with these Yawgmoth effects. Nothing's gonna stick around, let alone someone to pick up a hammer.
Indeed. He's here for the content though. He's gonna let Danny run him over in game 1 here.
Yeah, but the issue, like I was saying before, is I think the matchup for Danny increases heavily post board as well.
Indeed, indeed.
And
We already looked at
now
the tools he has.
it's time to do the little dance. Get down tonight. Because we're just going to pass this counter back and forth.
What kind of music do you think Yogg listens to? Do you
Yeah,
think
death
he?
metal, death metal. Literally the word death metal.
Yeah, like
oh, I actually picture,
just
those
like the
scenes.
juke.
You know when a detective in like a old cop movie will look at a crime scene with like classical music playing? I feel like that's what Yogg thinks is happening, but it's
Yeah.
death metal. But it's
Yeah.
like the same vibe.
It's like Phyrexian shrieking of
Oh,
just like
yeah.
scratching
It's
metal.
actually just the wails of the dead. Just really soothes him. Now, Danny, we're in the Yogg trap. We've gone all the way down to 4 life, and these don't look like kill conditions.
They do not. I see a lot of different cards.
Just a pile of stuff.
We'll play a land for turn, dump 1 card out of our hand. It's a filter land. He didn't opt to put down the forest in his hand.
We're looking, we're debating, and the thing is we still have some halfling mana.
I forgot about that, so we do
Play
have
out a
to
Haywire Might. Just Thomas is realizing that you also have main deck Haywire Might in your deck right now.
Yep, seems pretty good against Hammer.
Yeah, I would say so. And Danny, precariously down to 4 points of life, but also I don't know if there's any way that Thomas can punish them for going so low right now.
Indeed.
So time to start plunking in for some damage.
If the Urza Saga was on chapter 2, maybe I'd feel like there's a bit more of a chance, but it was played a little bit later. I think it was his
And Haywire
third.
Might's just gonna munch it on.
Oh gosh.
Oh, here we go. Surge of Salvation. Danny's
There you go.
sure.
There you go. There's some action.
And Danny does gain 2 points of life if they want to keep yogging. But we've tapped our creatures, so no.
No.
Nope.
This game has had weird vibes for me. I don't know.
Hey, the vibes are off for this one.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where the second it started, you're like, uh-oh. But you're in it, right? You have to play the game.
Yeah, now we gotta finish what we started here.
Yeah, finish what you started is a good way to put it. As Danny is definitely just trying to figure out how to not lose.
Yeah, just discarding down hand size here. He's done a bunch on his turn. So, sometimes the Yawgmoth players do a lot.
But nothing happens.
And nothing happens. And sometimes they do a lot and something happens. And they look kind of similar.
Yep. Some hit the I win button and some pass the turn.
Yeah.
And what you got here?
We'll see. It's another Ink Moth.
Yeah, because the thing is Thomas survives Danny going to combat for the turn. What Thomas doesn't survive is Danny just assembling the combo.
Right. Yeah. No, Hammer has no interaction against preventing the combo. At least not in game 1.
Right. They can't even Surge of Salvation because Danny is playing these Zulaport Cutthroat, doesn't need to target a player, and still will be able to drain them out the game.
Exactly.
Here's
There's
a Spike Feeder,
Feeder,
which has ways to create infinite life, but I believe not without the Cauldron.
Spike Feeder.
But the Spike Feeder just allows Danny to gain 4 life, aka draw 4 cards.
Oh, is his... I don't see it on his deck list here. Is this inaccurate to what he's actually...
Wow, can't believe it. Danny DQ'd Gonzo. Sorry. And we can see right here's the cards that Danny drew. We can supplement this Spike Feeder and turn it into more life and more cards. But you have to be careful. Because we're at very low life total, but we went through the Gingerbread already. So the Urza Saga doesn't equal like a very difficult threat either.
No, it represents a hammer that you can't put on an Ink Moth. You can get a Shadow Spear.
We have a hammer in hand. So if we have Sigarda's aid, we could be able to go animate Inkmoth, aid hammer, and might be able to kill Danny.
Yeah, no reach on any of these creatures. 10 infect will kill you.
Using our
10 regular damage will kill you too.
Yeah,
at
true.
2 points of life here.
Danny's trying to piece something together.
I think we're all just kind of waiting for him to do it. All right, all right, all right. I feel like we're doing a bit of the jigsaw puzzle here.
Yes. Danny for a few turns has just been doing a lot of mental math, trying to figure out their way through this.
We're trying to draw towards, I assume, the Zulaport Cutthroat
Yep,
Accord.
or chord. Yep, those. But we don't have the mana anymore to play a drawn
Mm-hmm.
copy of the cutthroat, so we're heavily on the hunt for the chord. And we can get into combat. Remember,
the
Danny's not winning with this combat yet.
the most gentlest of attacks.
Yeah.
The little swing with the token there, with the Yogg, Strangleroot. A few points of damage here.
That's 7 points, so Thomas will be dead next turn if we piece together all these pieces again. Looks like looking to make a blocker and throw it in front of pick your favorite bus. I guess the orc token just
Yeah, that's the
gain the
biggest.
most life from
Mm-hmm.
blocking the biggest creature.
Prevent the most life loss.
Yes. But the thing is Danny is just really just using a blunt instrument, right? To go with our Yogg being the doctor, just really has the bluntest knives of just trying to do this surgery. And Tom Holland
Yeah.
is not that far away from just accidentally killing Danny back.
I feel like lore-wise, like this is Yawgmoth on like his 8th patient of the day, and he's like really tired, and he's not doing his best work. You
He's like,
know,
I keep ripping open this wolf, but I'm not finding anything in here.
earlier in the day he's flashing, he's
Oh yeah.
stabby, he's got it down.
The card off the top was Stoneforge. Sigarda's 8, I think, was Thomas's out. This might just be the game now. We might make a blocker and maybe throw something out there, but I find it very difficult now to scrape back in here.
Gotta resolve this Urza saga chapter as well.
Yeah, I think we're debating right now if we need to use our mana on this or if we're just going to let it all go.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important part of this because we don't have a lot of mana resources to work with, but this blocker could be the difference between having an extra turn or not having that.
Alright, so we'll just make a construct here. It's gonna use most of our mana though. We only have 1 land up. If we play a land for turn, we got 2 mana. Doing a quick ponder on what you're gonna grab with the Urza Saga. Danny gonna respond to the 3rd chapter activation. Or respond to the construct we made? Okay. Gonna let it go here.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
Is he like afraid of Pithy Needle? That's not in the main deck. This is game 1 still.
Some hammer decks are floating 1 because of just the power and prevalence of Yawgmoth.
That's nasty.
Thomas is on the hunt. We're looking. Shadow Spear. Okay. Remember, we're still playing a scrappy game. Danny has not found the answers yet.
He's got a bunch of creatures with which to swing with. And this lifelink might be the last bit he needs. Buffs the construct a bit.
Yeah, because Thomas will be able to play their land for turn and pay the 2 to equip up this and have a 3/3 lifelinker available on block and duty. But Danny could then...
It's 5, 7, 10, 12. Spike Feeder stats.
Spike Feeder is a 1/1 because it has a 1/1 counter right now.
Okay.
It's the that comes in with 2 counters. You can drop a counter to gain 2. That's how we kind of kept some of the engine going before. And looks like instead of equipping the Shadow Spear, we're going to create a second blocker in the Stoneforge Mystic.
All right. We're going to grab an equipment with the Stoneforge real quick as well. We're going to grab a Cauldra.
Yeah, we already have a hammer in hand, so...
Sure.
Cauldra doesn't have lifelink somewhere, right?
No, it does not.
It just has 17 other abilities.
Trample, Indestructible, First Strike, Exile, Touch.
Yeah, Exile Touch.
That's
okay.
There's like one more. It's all the
Indestructible.
Yeah, I'm like thinking of like the lore of like the elements that it's got.
First Strike, Trample, Haste plus Indestructible, Exile Touch.
Oh, did I not say haste? I think I meant to.
Haste is so important on this.
Absolutely.
But now we have a Soul Cauldron eating a Haywire Mite. Thomas, it's done so now.
Oh man. For those of you that don't know, if the Cauldron eats a Haywire Mite, now all of Danny's creatures with the +1/+1 counter can Haywire Mite and destroy any artifacts that Tom may have on the field.
Oh no. And now another part is Yawgmoth's secret final ability, BB discard a card proliferate. It's making all these creatures huge with an additional 1/1.
Mm-hmm.
Including the spike feed if we want to gain a little bit of life on top of it all.
Sure, sure. All right, we've proliferated. Do we
Yep.
want to do anything more before we go to attacks here? I think we're pretty good. We are at 2 life, so we don't want to
Yeah, we have to be so
misplay and
careful.
miss attack here. So I expect and respect the
Yeah.
carefulness here.
Especially with this Cauldra, just openly threatening having trample.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because there is a hammer in hand. Not like it's going to do too much. But like a Cauldra wearing this Shadow Spear can do a big swing in this game.
Danny did most of the damage to himself already. Tom really only needs one opportunity
Right.
to take this game home.
Yeah, so much has happened, but Danny did it all to himself.
All right, we're moving to attacks here. It's starting to turn stuff sideways. Strangleroot comes in. Young Wolf comes in. Bowmaster was thought about.
Yeah, they thought about
And
it.
here come the taps. We're going to count.
Yeah, I think,
Orc Army came in.
and very important, Danny played their land. They can crack a fetch, go to 1, get a swamp into play, filter into this Twilight Mire, get BB, and activate the proliferative Yawgmoth once again.
Indeed, indeed.
So we need to be very careful on who we think we can and can't block here.
The Shadow Spear is not equipped either. So we
Nope.
have a 1/2 and a 2/2.
Yeah, we're not really going to be able to eat anything besides just eating up as much damage as possible.
All right, opting not to swing in with the Spike Feeder, the Yogg, or the Bowmaster here. Just 3 attacks. Swinging in for a total of 4 plus 3. 7 plus 4 is 11 points of damage. It is lethal, so you don't need to block, sir. Tom?
This is a wild game 1.
Tom?
Thinking, blocking.
Block, please. Block the orc. Okay. That's fine.
We gained
Go.
some life from our Spike Fear to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. Using our fetch land, finding a land. I think we're explaining. We even have a Bowmaster. And we're just gonna sneak in this
Bowmaster for a
Bowmaster.
point of damage, plus buffing the orc army more. Okay.
Oh yeah, plus buffing the army, and looks like we're scooping it up. We can finally use that planned sideboard we did so many turns ago.
That
Scrappy.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the end of the game there. The block seemed misguided. And I think he should have survived there, even with the proliferates or the Bowmaster buff there. But we'll go to game 2 here. All is well in the world. That game is now over, and we're gonna move on to the next one. We're gonna look at Danny's deck first. Apparently, this is not his full 75. This is his old 75. So
wow, really feel betrayed.
there is a Spike Feeder somewhere in that main board.
But we have the sideboard piece that we're working with, and the ones that we saw before.
Yeah, let's go over them once more for those that didn't see it last time. Endurance, Fulminator Mage, Reclamation Sage, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, Go for the Throat, Legion's End, Terror Sunder, Force of Vigor, and Chalice of the Void. Which cards do you like the most against Hammer?
There's already 4 available naturalizes. And these 2 Force of Vigors, Terror Sunder, and the Rex Sage, allowing your Court of Callings to become Rex Sage, allowing you access to naturalize off your cords as well. Depending on how dangerous you're feeling, something like a Legion's End may help you in being able to answer every creature out of this deck, whereas a Go for Throat will have some sort of difficulty, alongside Fatal Push if you really need it. This is a situation where if Danny brought in all 15 of these cards, I wouldn't be shocked either. Like, all of these 15 sideboard cards seem like they can have a moment of relevance against this deck, outside of maybe Chalice locking yourself with all of your own 1-drops, but I wouldn't be shocked by any of these cards coming in.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how many cards you want to take out, right? Where there's the main board plan, so how much do you want to dilute it for your sideboard there?
Yes, exactly.
Let's take a look at a Hammer list real quick while our players continue to sideboard. This isn't Tom's list either, but it is a pretty stock list, pretty standard. There's that main board Pithy Needle you were talking about.
And
Surge of Salvation, full slew of them in this example list.
I'm talking about Curse Totem. However many are in that board, This is who they are here for. And that's why you can see Danny adjusting his list, getting Rex Sage and ETB ability as opposed to Haywire's activation, getting those Force of Vigors that tear asunder. They are learning that they definitely need answers to these curse totems, but we still need to present the problem for them to be able to answer it.
Indeed, indeed. There's also this Tormod's Crypt, some graveyard disruption there. Could throw
Yep.
that in
You can
there.
turn your Sagas into Graveyard Disruption, which is definitely not nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll head back down into the action though. See a look at the board state here. Tom will be on the play for game 2 as we are in our final match of the night. Need I remind you guys to follow because you've already done it, I bet, because you're all great and we appreciate you. This is our final stream of the match, of the year, excuse me. This is our final stream of the year of 2023, and I just want to thank you all for joining us this year. This is our first year of coverage. This is the first time that I have done coverage for this stream. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you a lot. You're all wonderful. We look forward to having you next year. I don't know if you've heard, but we're starting a Modern League on the 10th of January, right after Championship for our NRG series.
We're calling it the mini series.
We're calling it the mini series. We
That's not
talked about it
official.
last week. It's not official. I
It's
really
not
like
official in
it,
any way.
and I have the power to make it official.
But it's the local league. But
Yes,
the
it
mini
is.
series sounds so funny.
Yes, the little mini series. We've already got a new play mat. We're not using the old NRG series mat anymore. We got a Nerd Rage
Yeah, the sick
Gaming.
local mat.
Yeah.
Speaking
yeah.
of which, I also saw the NRG Phil Stone playmat that was announced today.
Oh man, I've been so excited to
shout out.
talk to people about that. It's been in the works for a little
Love Phil
bit.
Stone.
It is exclusive to the NRG series. You can only get it at our events. When Phil Stone is there, he will sign it for you
Yes.
when you buy it.
It's a dragon
beautiful.
playing Magic. It's cool.
It's Year of the Dragon, baby. You see those play promos?
The mountain is gorgeous.
It's so great. So celebrate that by picking up our exclusive playmat next year at any one of our events. The first one's in February, the week before the Pro Tour. Come play the two formats that are going to be at the Pro Tour, Pioneer and Standard. If you win either of those events, you qualify for a championship next year.
Double showdown weekend.
Booyah, baby. And if you're looking to see what champs will look like if you qualify, check out our coverage at NRG Series, twitch.tv/NRG Series, the 6th and 7th of January. I'm going to be there. It's going to be great. I'll see you in chat. As we get back down to the action, though, Tom will be on the play. Players are figuring out their starting sevens here. What do we need out of Tom's starting hand? I see a Path to Exile. That's pretty good. Not too bad a card. I see an Urza Saga, Giver of Runes.
Plains,
Springleaf Drum, Ginger Brute.
This is okay. I don't like this, but like, it's a hand of cards in this deck. But boy, do I not want any of these cards.
I want more. I want more from this hand.
Yeah,
It's a playable hand.
but it's so hard because if Danny just has one Force of Vigor, it doesn't even matter. Like, whatever plan you put together is destroyed.
I don't know if you can view your hand through that lens, though, because any hammer hand is
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah,
destroyed
every
by
hammer
two
hand feels
Force of
that way.
Vigors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Force of Vigor is a good card.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Those free spells, pretty good.
And Danny here taking that mulligan. They're on the draw this game, so this is basically a freebie. Just trying to get cards that are good, relevant, and help you stay in this game on this mull to 5.
Oh boy. I think this is exactly what Tom likes to see.
Yeah.
This will put a little
That part
strength
helps.
in my heart when I see this happen to my opponent.
All right, Danny. Putting those two back. Keeping this 5.
I like the duality. I don't know if you've noticed of the white sleeve deck and the dark sleeve deck, the mono white deck versus the swamp deck.
Okay. The
Just a little
darkness takes us
good,
all.
good and evil. We'll see here. Yawgmoth Thran position, definitely a villain.
It says who?
I think MTG lore as a whole.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So he's an antagonist.
He's okay.
Sorry, only the victors can write history.
Whoa. We've entered into a territory I was not expecting to go towards.
Yeah, where this hammer player is off to the races with a plains and a giver of rune.
Giver of Runes. All right. Giver of Runes is my hero. What a babe. Big fan.
Academia. Danny, cracking this patch real quick. Seems like we probably got a 1-drop. Either a Wheezy or a Mana Dork. Playing his
Delighted
Mana Dorks now.
halfling. Another battle, babe. Keep 'em coming.
They're delighted. They're just so happy to be here.
It's great.
Now, Delight Halfling's only a battle babe if you play this version.
What do you
The
mean?
full art version is not a bib.
It's not? Oh,
Mm,
yeah.
nope.
I forgot.
It's a
Yeah.
lovely gent.
Mm-hmm.
As the
What
spring
I
leaf drone
really
comes on
need,
in.
what I really need is a Llanowar elf with a female on it, because that would
Okay.
complete my Battle Babes Angels deck.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Or just put Delight Halfling and Pioneer. Nothing in battle happen.
I just I'm begging for Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Ooh, Avatar rules
Please.
too.
It would be so freaking good in my deck.
Probably in Pioneer Masters.
Yes. Oh gosh,
Pioneer Horizon.
don't. Oh.
As Danny here follows up with a Young Wolf. All right, Thomas's hand wasn't like the strongest, but the thing is Danny's hand isn't either. Which, if you're gonna keep a little bit of a loose goose, at least your opponent is too.
All right, Exile Effect will get around the Undying there. Clean up the Young Wolf.
We've seen Path to Exile in play twice this game, both this beautiful full art. There's more Path to Exiles than I've seen in the rest of 2023.
Yeah. Adam has all the Texas cards that he can in his deck. We've also got it in this Hammer Time deck.
Popping up this Urza Saga, mode number 2. Time to make some big battley boys if you want.
Something that I've noticed out of Tom's mana base here is this Ink Moth comes down. He's only got one white source, but he does have this Spring Leaf Drum to help him with that. There's a couple double white spells, most notably Pure Steel Paladin.
Stone Brain.
Sideboard card for sure. That'll help rip.
I think we're about to name Yawgmoth and remove it from the deck named Yawgmoth. Oh, yeah, buddy.
Take a peek at that hand, too. What you got?
Two Yogs! Two
Ooh!
Yogs!
Ooh, does Stone Brain let you draw?
Yeah. Danny will get to draw cards because they lost these two Yogs. But at least because that being the case, there are no Yawgmoths currently in Yawgmoth.
Can Yawgmoth win without Yawgmoth?
Of course. We can just doodle around for the next, 10 turns.
We can make a bunch of insects with Grist.
Yeah, we can just do the scrappy plan.
We can play a Sholdred and just have her be a thing.
Yep. Yes. We can draw our Force of Vigor and ruin Thomas's day. Like, there's definitely a game to be played. Just Danny is now playing it on hard mode.
I think it's a bit of a fairer game now. You don't get all this free stuff with
Sure.
Yogg. Free as it can be with Force of Vigor.
Yes. And, Thomas got to get a good peek at what's going on in the deck.
Yes, that's the nice thing about surgical effects. You get to see exactly how your opponent has sideboarded against you as well.
Yep, we even saw that Rex Sage as Thomas was flipping through Danny's deck, which I'd love a good positive change to allow you to really beat these Cursed Totems, if that is what Thomas is showing up with. Already seeing Path to Exile and Stonebrain out of Thomas's sideboard.
Good start here. Go to Danny's turn and see what he can do. He just has a Takanuma left in his hand. Stonebrain rips two full cards out.
That's true, but we will draw two from the resolution taking our two Yawgmoths.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, we still get these back. But it looks like it might have
Were they
been
both
a land and something
lands?
else.
Yeah, there's at least one there.
You're seeing a quick roundabout because Danny tried to crack a fetch, but needs to draw their cards from the resolution of Stonebrain before resolving finding our fetch. And here we are, getting this Overgrown Tomb while also getting our two cards drawn.
There we go. Almost done resolving this spell. We'll be back down to the action in just a second.
Yeah, this is the modern game classic of
Shuffling.
shuffle.
So nice to play Pioneer. I gotta tell you, that was just the first thing. And people still want fetches to be in Pioneer. I'm like, no, we have such a beautiful thing.
There's
Don't
so much downtime
ruin it.
of me just waiting for something to happen.
Our Pioneer events at the series go so much faster.
Oh yeah,
it's
for sure.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I would just wait till how fast standard will go.
Oh man,
as everyone's
that'll
scooning.
be great. Yes, toot toots.
Wall of Roots. So Danny drew Verdant Catacombs Wall of Roots off that Stonebrain.
Not as impactful as a Yawgmoth, gotta say.
Yeah, not keeping a hand where you're just like, I have these two Yogs, like I'll have payoff, and then them being stripped away. In response to our third mode of Urza Saga, we'll make this construct, currently rocking as a 3/3, about to become a 4/4. I imagine Thomas will get a hammer if we've got the Pure Steel Paladin floating around somewhere, but probably very likely to get Cauldron here and just really, oh, not Cauldron, I'm sorry, Shadow Spear. Just play the classic beat down with my construct plan.
You saw Danny go to crack his fetch there, and that's, as we said, in potential anticipation of Thomas putting down a Pithy Needle. You don't want to get got by
Yeah,
that.
that'd be
You don't want to
so
just be
scary.
stuck with
And
this fetch unfetched.
the needle is brought in to name Yawgmoth. Thomas
Mhm.
already dealt with Yawgmoth, so if they're feeling real spicy, they get hit Verdant Catacombs. But I imagine if you're gonna use a needle, you want to hit Grist.
He will, in fact, get the pithy needle. Is he gonna name the fetch?
Where this looked like a thinking face.
Yeah. I don't know, Bryce, if you want to go out and just see what he does, in fact, name with that. The tricky thing with the inclusion of Agatha's Soul Cauldron is that you can get the ability
Mm,
of named cards without that
right,
name being there. So you can, like, get the Yawgmoth ability, but have it on Young Wolf, for example.
right. And then a young wolf is activating, not a
Yeah.
Yawgmoth.
Hmm.
So we're just doing a quick check here.
You can name Soul Cauldron, but that's the ability is being activated by the creature with the counter.
They named Soul Cauldron. Yep, you can't
Yeah.
eat at all, so
Oh, you can't eat with the
nothing will ever
cauldron.
go in the soup.
There you go. There you go.
So the soup is flavorless. It'll just be hot water in the cauldron.
Oh no.
Just Agatha's hot water.
Oh gosh.
Doesn't that sound delicious, children? Come on in. And now we have Court of Calling. We're on. See, this is where I'm. Are we getting Rexage?
Rex Ages 3?
Rexage is 3.
There you go. There you go.
Just maybe.
Oh.
Getting Hammer Might. Getting Hammer Might.
Oh.
Hammer Might.
I trusted I trusted your chord math there.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I don't remember mana being used for something else. But I've been wrong once, and I'll be wrong again. We most likely use it for the Wall of Roots and then a chord for 1. No problemo. And little mana here, little mana there, little Munchkin D from this Haywire Mite.
Do you think it's just gonna grab the needle?
The Saga.
Oh, all right.
Yes, Danny, get the Saga.
Take his land from him. Take his extra hammers.
I think we're 4 for 4
Spear.
on round stay with Stone Rains in them. Shout out to Modern Magic.
Has it been Urza Saga every time? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As Danny, it looks like using
Takanuma. We're gonna channel that. And you get
picking up the
I don't remember what the channel on Takanuma. What are you gonna pick up again?
U-Mill, and then you can pick up a creature or planeswalker and return it to hand.
Oh, creature or planeswalker.
Yeah, I used to use this in coffers to pick up cards.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was. And then yeah, you can use in this deck to kind of regrow whatever little friends you've lost along the way. As this Haywire Mite comes on into hand, and then a Delight Halfling, and I believe Danny is now empty-handed. And now it is up to Thomas to figure out how to push through this battlefield. There's a bunch of little guys.
There's a bunch of little guys. There's a bunch of really hot draws on Tom's side of the board.
And if we can piece it right together, this Inkmoth could end the game in a lickety-split moment. But
1, 2, 3, 4. If you animate the Inkmoth, 5.
that's the same that I see.
Go down to 15 here, though.
I think Thomas has a single card in hand. Danny's drawing up to their only card. We are gonna be the swingy back and forth. What the top decks can offer to both of these players. Danny's already thinking. I know Danny's thinking face. That's the thinking face.
What a joy these face cams are. We get to see
Right?
every bit of emotion on them.
Immediately to activating Wall of Roots. Oh, hey, Drew Court of Calling, huh? That's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So now everything is what we're searching for.
I think
1, 2, 3.
Tom's
Court
got
for 3.
more hot draws, but Danny's got some hot draws himself.
It's got to be Rexage. I know I said it before, but this is a court for 3. It's Grist.
It's Grist. Oh, good try, good try.
Just they don't want to eat any of these artifacts. I might have just munched on this ginger brute or something to just like make myself feel a little safer.
Yeah,
Danny
just a
might
little
still
snack.
munch on it.
Yeah, the Grist does have the ability to kill a creature here still. I think Danny's going to use it just to widen his board a bit first.
I'm just so worried about how can Hammer accidentally just sneak and kill me.
There's an Inkmoth on the field, so that's what you'd be
one.
most scared of.
Yeah, oh, maybe I should have corded for 3 and got my Fulminator and killed the Ink Moth?
He is
Maybe?
gonna minus though.
Yeah,
We're,
munching.
what are we gonna destroy here?
The
The
Giver,
Giver
right? Because the Giver would
seems
have kept
great.
whatever else safe, so we might
And
as well
the
get that.
final card in his hand's a
Blacksmith
Blacksmith Skill. He's
Skill.
got Surges and Blacksmith Skill. I love it.
But the thing is we can't draw Hammer and Sigarda's Aches when we have 1 draw.
Right.
So we have whatever this is. Quickly move to our
We're
planes.
obviously very short on enough mana to equip a hammer
Yeah.
the regular
Yeah,
way.
just a little short, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the question is, Thomas very quickly went to tap that plains for whatever card we've drawn per turn.
It's going to use the ability on Gingerbrew to make it unblockable, and this construct's big enough that we don't need to give it unblockable.
Yeah, construct just big. 1, 2, 3, 4 power on that construct.
Mm-hmm.
Rumbling.
Yeah, animate the Ink Moth. Get in for another point.
Yeah, because we don't even have to worry about like risking it because Danny's also out of cards, so not gonna like do something to like sneaky kill it.
And he is going to animate the Ink Moth there for an extra point of damage, killing the Grist and putting Danny down to 10.
Very interestingly, not using Inkmoth to animate itself and using our white source instead. But we're untapping for Danny. We get our 1 card per turn.
Yeah, he should be animating with the Ink Moth to represent having another Surge or Blacksmith skill.
Might as well pretend. Rip off the top. Danny's looking at all the cards in the graveyard they wish they had in play. The 4 Yawgmoths sitting in exile, not where you want them either.
Indeed.
Thomas, I mean, talk about thinking face.
Yeah, just making sure he's not forgetting anything here. I want to put this game away quickly. Oh, Skyclave Apparition. I dig that card.
This Gingy B is just getting in there. We'll do it the hard way.
All right, we're going to start to lose some blockers here. Take 1 damage from the Gingerbrute. I don't think there's anything worth Skyclaving at this moment, so I agree with holding it up there.
I'm most worried about our opponent like slamming a Shield Druid. Might eat that up.
Oh, you know what? The Springleaf Drum also represents mana as well, although I don't think you're going to be tapping a Giver in that situation, but that is also something to note here.
Fulminator Mage here to eat this Inkmoth Nexus if we want it. Instead, leaving it to possibly do a block and then take care of it if we'd like. But that Inkmoth basically is locked down now, knowing that Fulminator will come for it when it's ready.
Stoneforge Mystic seems like a pretty good draw here. Let's play that out as quickly as we can.
Yeah. And we can
I want to see a Cauldra. Let's go get a Cauldra. Put this game away.
Yeah, if you want to talk about trying to put this game away, that might be the way to do it.
That's what I want to see here.
But if we grab...
Nothing to enable a hammer.
Well, if we grab hammer, we have 8 draws in our deck between... probably 10 draws. So we probably have our 4 Sigarda's Aids, our 4 Piercer Paladins, and our 2 Forgenews. But if we grab hammer, it gets blown up by the Haywire Might. If we grab Cauldra, it gets eaten by the Haywire Might.
Cauldра's indestructible.
By the exiles. That's why Haywire Might can eat the ring.
Right. Oh.
So we have found a Shadow Spear.
A Shadow Spear also gets eaten, but is maybe benign enough. Is that a word for it?
Because we can play it, but we don't have 3 mana. We have access to 2 mana. So we're not able to play and equip now, and then Daniel will be able to untap and always be able to activate.
Now we have 3 mana.
Just kidding. Here we go. Put that on that construct. Big rumbles.
Tap.
Okay.
Yeah,
now I'm in. And now we're gonna put this Shadow Spear. This construct is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, +1 to 6 mana creature. Danny's sitting here with all their Yawgmoths, disappeared from this early game Stonebrain, and now we're in this scrappy game as Thomas Holland is crashing in with this big construct now.
Blockers aren't going to do a lot here because it does have trample if this Shadow Spear sticks around. Danny opting to... Do you kill the construct or do you kill the Shadow Spear?
Because now we're going to activate this wall, and our Haywire Might's going to eat the spear. And now we've officially blocked the construct, and now it's lost trample. So now it's been blocked, and you won't gain any life, deal any trample damage because we've munched on the Shadow Spear.
For those asking in chat, the Yawgmoths are exiled to the Stonebrain.
And Danny drop return. Looks like a Peatland really quickly put into play and cycled away.
4 Path to Exiles would be a crazy thing to have happened in this point of the game.
And looks like we've drawn a Soul Cauldron, but this Needle's been sitting here on Cauldron for turns upon turns. And Twilight Mire, the last card in hand is that Stranded Soul Cauldron. Looks like we're debating just putting it out there anyways. Bop. Agatha's Soul Cauldron.
Agatha's Soul Cauldron still named with that Pithy Needle, but it's there. It's there. Maybe if we get rid of the Pithy Needle at some point, we'll appreciate spending the mana on it at this point.
And Danny really having to try to piece together this scrappy game, and this construct just growing. Turn after turn after turn.
Do we use the Skyclave to remove a blocker? Get in for bigger beats?
It's hard, right? Because we're just decimating Danny's board. A turn or two from now, we just won't have anything to block with at all.
Definitely play the Memnite. That grows our construct a bit.
Might as well use our mana, give Gingerbrute that oopsie whoopsie ability. And then we'll just get in there, get a little bit of plink from the construct, force them to throw things under the bus that is the construct. Just trying to scrape together our damage.
Gingerbrute unblockable once more. Might as well swing in with the
Stoneforge.
Stoneforge, sure.
Doing nothing. Just try to plunk in for any pieces of damage you can.
There you go. Let some more damage through. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Down to 5 for Danny. Here's
Big
a card
draws.
off the top.
I gotta check the time. I'm out of here. As Danny, playable card? Zulaport Cutthroat.
Zulaport Cutthroat. You usually don't play that naturally. You find it off a chord or something. But I think we'll call that a game 2 there.
Yeah, I think Thomas may have told him I have this apparition to get rid of that, and I'll be able to get in for just enough damage. And we're going to go to a game number 3 with Danny on the play. Thomas heavily relied on that Stone Brain to make that game what it was. And now game number 3, we're going to see what happens when Danny's on the play. Has Yogg in his deck, hopefully.
Yeah, is able to use the namesake card. I think there's, at most 2 to 3 Stone Brains in Thomas's side. So we'll see if he's able to find that again and help him out.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Stone Brain is an answer to whatever question is giving you too much trouble. So in this case for Thomas, just realizing that it may be difficult for me to deal with some decks, I'll just bring these Stone Brains in, know that I have a 4-mana surgical effect for whatever could be giving me trouble. In this case, it was getting them Yoggs out of here.
While we're waiting for our players to shuffle up here, I just want to ask y'all a question in chat. What was your favorite deck that you saw this year? We've had a bunch of different decks on. You can name a meta-relevant one, a spicy brew. What was your favorite match that we featured on camera this year? We want to bring you some great coverage next year, so we're looking to see what you enjoyed out of our coverage. Of course, we appreciate having you here as always. Make sure to hit that follow button if you haven't already. I know you have because you're great, and I appreciate you. Sam saying hammer.
Hamui.
Gotta say, not very surprised about that one, Sam.
No, about our resident Hammer player excited about the showcasing of Hammer. Who would have guessed?
Hammer's been one of my favorite matches as well as a resident Hammer player myself. I love seeing it.
I love playing game 1 with Hammer.
Yeah.
Playing game 2 and 3 with Hammer is a nightmare.
It's very different for sure.
I remember, our resident Burn Boy Adam secretly also has Hammer. I didn't have a deck. And we're like, we're not doing the stream this week. I was like, oh no. Hey, can I borrow a deck? And I was like, yeah, I have Hammer. And then I just immediately turned 2 comboed someone. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, deck.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's a good answer. I forgot about that deck. The all be one combo deck that Sam also played. That was a fun one. That's a commander card.
Yeah. Do you remember when Ray brought a whole commander deck basically and played that?
Which one was that?
Their Deadeye Navigator Beams Wombo nonsense. Like, we're playing some crazy Magic. The joys of playing a local event. The cream rises to the top when you see a deck like Hammer or Yogg or Scam in these later rounds. But sometimes there's some silly stuff in the early rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw Mill go pretty far last week as well. There's always room for more than just the top 3 decks to make it through to the finals.
Absolutely. Which then makes it more difficult because you only got 15 sideboard slots to work with. So the weirder and more off the wall sometimes things can be, the harder it can make it for you.
As we get started in our game 3, though, Daniel will be on the play. Begin with the Young Wolf. Tom will respond with 2 Memnites.
2 Memnites. Count of 2.
Ooh, Springleaf Drum. You love to see it. Even more mana. Do we have a Sigarda's Can we get another spell? I see a Surge
Yeah, they
sitting
were
in his
holding up their
hand.
Surge.
Seems pretty great. Heartless will be making a triumphant return next week. But what are you going to put, Heartless? Why are you being so heartless? We've lost the namesake card. Ray, what are you going to do?
Ray should also play Charlotte's Agent and Cascade into Heartless and just get like 3 or 4 of them into play.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, we're brewing. As Agatha's Soul Cauldron.
We're brewing some soup. I don't think. Wait, you don't brew soup really? You like
you get it a brewing.
you could. I feel like you brew like tea.
Yeah, as Peter Parker here puts down. Oh, sorry, Tom Holland puts their Urza Saga into play with this Skyclave apparition to eat up the Soul Cauldron. If you can't name it, might as well banish it into the dark exile to become a spirit token later.
Yeah, it's
How
cool.
does this?
Skyclave is a really big. I'm a big fan of Skyclave because unlike O-ring effects, where if you lose it, you fully get the card back. You never
Not
get
here.
that card back.
You get an illusion.
You get an illusion, and in a deck like the one I play it in, you do not care if they get a creature. Your life total does not matter when I play it in Angels. I got 144 life, man. What you gonna do?
Right. And this Skyclave, it'll track the mana cost. That's why you see the Agatha's Soul Cauldron, just so they know that when the Skyclave leaves, Daniel will get a 2/2 for the mana value that is that of the Soul Cauldron. Thomas, big draws. Flames. Urza Saga going up. We're in construct mode. Remember, Danny is now getting to play with full powered Yawgmoth with the card Yawgmoth in the deck still. We'll see how that can really change things as they're approaching their next turn and possibly 4 mana as well.
Danny didn't play anything on his turn. Ooh, there it is. I see the Bowmaster peeking out of his hand. When
what could it possibly
when
be?
a Yawg player passes with some mana open, that's what you gotta be on the lookout for.
Right, we're probably gonna take the free value and just shoot this Memnite because why not? And Thomas looks to be on the Cauldron plan from this Stoneforge Mystic.
I dig it. Cauldron will put this game away real fast. It's a little more prone or susceptible to removal because you can't cast it if you lose the Stoneforge Mystic. But Hammer, you need an enabler as well. So you need like a Sigarda's Pure Steel Paladin, etc.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm just like,
so let's grab the Cauldron.
We need to put pieces together, or we could just get Cauldron.
Yeah. When in doubt, get Cauldron. Big beats. Bonk.
Yeah. Have you heard of Bonk?
Have you heard of the Church of Bonk?
May you wish to bonk? As
we meet every Wednesday at Nerd Rage, 6:30.
Yeah, there's ones of us.
There's one in chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's here.
They're among the ones. As we have this Court of Calling looks to be for one. That's probably Haywire Might.
Yeah, it's been helping Danny out a lot in this matchup, and it's going to continue to do so here.
We're probably going to try to eat this Saga again, right? Just not deal with this going on here.
There you go. Brendan played Hammer last week.
I said ones. That's
ones.
That's 3 people.
Ones. We're still in the ones digit.
I included all of you.
All right,
I don't remember there being 10 Hammer players. Goodness me, can you imagine?
I don't know. We got a bunch of viewers here.
I don't even know if there's 10 Hammer players at a big NRG event.
Oh, there's gotta be. Come on.
We'll find out. What about Pioneer Hammer?
That's a thing?
It's real.
Says who?
The goblin that throws itself at people. That's who.
Which goblin's that?
I believe he's a scamp. I mean that truly as
Me too.
As in the card has scamp in its name.
I see. There they are. See, there they're at. Cage Cheeky plays Hammer too. We're racking it up. We're getting there.
Well, consider me 4.
No, there's no considers here. No one's playing blue. Haha.
As Thomas is using their man, looks not making a construct from either of these moments offered to us by this Urza Saga, and instead floating that mana on the hunt for a good old-fashioned one. Shadow Spear. We don't really have anything that big yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need to float the mana in order to play And equip
the needle.
the Shadow Spear.
And we're naming Haywire Mite.
Named Haywire Mite. I don't know if you guys heard that. Tom shouted out to the back. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, I think he may have done that because us in the booth and them two playing might be the only people in the building.
Yeah, let me take I think, yeah, everyone's ready to go home here. It's a late one tonight.
As these two are, we're scrapping through game number 2.
Indeed, indeed. Game number 3, we're almost done here.
As there it is. It's the Force of Vigor in response to Urza Saga never having access to the mana mode.
Mm-mm.
And a surge
Ooh.
in response. Everything got
Surge
hexproof.
gives everything hexproof. You
Welp.
cannot target it, sir.
Danny, big shrug says, "Welp."
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas putting Cauldra into play.
It's got haste.
It's got haste.
Get a germ token on there and turn sideways, bud.
Do we have a cool germ token?
Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh, is that RK Post?
Looks like a metal RK post. All right,
I love
sound
it.
off, Peter Parker. Yeah, I mean, it's Bjonkin time.
Yep, turn it sideways. There we go. Haywire Mite's still here. Why? Wait. Why haven't we cracked? Oh, cause I'm so dumb. I was
Go
like, well,
on.
why didn't we crack the Haywire Mice?
Because the
I
needle.
forgot that
named
Tom
Haywire
shouted
Mite.
at us.
Yeah, sorry. For some of us, we got yelled at that it's naming Haywire Mite.
So traumatized, it just immediately flushed from my brain.
Danny, we're pretty limited both on mana, things in play of relevance. This Dryad Arbor being kind of a land, kind of a creature for blocking. We don't have a lot to work with, and now just this locked Haywire Mite, this Cauldra might just go all the way.
Our outs are we could Beseiju the Pithy Needle.
Yeah, the
That's
needle,
still
yep.
available to us. We already had a few answers to Tom's things, and he's found answers to the answers.
Answers for the answers, which is one of the most important parts when you're sideboarding. Is you don't just need answers, but sometimes you need answers for the answers.
Ink Month next will be the land for turn.
And it looks like Thomas's last card is Hollowed Moonlight.
Ooh.
So if Danny tries to get a little tricksy, we can just deal with any of those bringing cards into play that shouldn't quite enter in that kind of way.
Move to combat here and just attack with the Cauldra. Or with the
no
germ.
need to risk anything.
Germ holding the Cauldra.
Yeah, this germ's holding it tight.
Dude, it's a buff germ.
Yeah, let's talk about how buff these germs are. Y'all ever heard of buff germs? Hey, I'm Buff Germ.
Boy, that's the new character on stream.
Yeah.
Buff Germ.
Hey, it's me, Buff Germ, here to let y'all know that I have Trample, I have Exile Touch, I have Indestructible.
Indestructible.
I cannot be stronged. Thomas is taking a deep read of the Hollowed Moonlight they got in their hand. As Danny piecing together just their single draw per turn.
I don't think.
It's this Bowmaster. It took a little shot.
Gonna use the Spring Leaf Drum to hold up enough mana to activate this Urza Saga as well. Hollow Moonlight will come down on the stack. For those unaware of what that card does, it does. Dom.
Oh, this is if a creature would enter play and it wasn't cast, exile it.
There you go. So it'll take care of the token.
That is my belief as well. Yep.
And it draws a card.
Yeah, it draws a card. So
Very
you actually
important.
saw at the RC about a week ago for Pioneer, blue-white control players were main decking this as it's good against Phoenix and Amalia combo. And Enigmatic Fires. There's like 3 decks it's really good against.
Is Enigmatic Fires? I feel like I barely see that deck anymore. Every so often it'll surprise me and kick my butt.
Right, that's the part. Yeah, it'll surprise and then kick the snot out.
They'll just throw an Elishnorn on the field, and I'm like,
Oh.
I'm dead.
Yep. Yeah, she seems to do that. As Danny untapping with our little bit that we have to work with.
Ooh, swamp off the top ain't gonna do much.
Right. We can play it.
We're not dead.
No,
we're
we
not
have
dead.
blockers
We
to
have
absorb
blockers.
Cauldra damage.
Cauldра's 5 damage. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of blocking.
But new construct.
New construct will come out at Danny's end step.
Right, and then Lost Thomas will be able to make another one, and it might just be so big. So get rid of that one, right?
Fatal Push will help a lot.
Yep, because that's the one that would have been able to attack. So we've at least dealt with that. So we have this Cauldron. We're going to at least throw some people under the
We
bus.
have an Ink Moth we can animate
Yeah, we've
and throw. Oh, good,
Sagatana.
good. Very good job, sir, remembering your Urza Saga trigger there.
Is it worth it to get Shadow Spear and put it
Yes, absolutely.
on the Skyclave and just kind of push in for even more trample damage?
Yes. Yes, big fan. Trample
Everybody in the
damage
room
is
is
really
nodding
key
along
here.
with me, so I feel smart and handsome.
Yeah, I don't agree with making a construct here. I think you just use the mana.
Well, we'll still be able to
Get the
use the
Shadow
mana
Sphere.
because of our Springleaf Drum to equip this Shadow Spear if we'd like.
Yes, we do still have enough. That's right.
Yeah, we can tap the Stoneforge if we want. We can tap the Construct if we want, depending on who we want left back and who we want to use for the resource. But I like it as spear.
I like the spear.
Yeah, because we put it on Skyclave. We're doing 8 trample damage. Danny will basically need to throw most of their creatures onto that bus and just have nothing left to work with.
Oh yeah. No,
And
we're
remember
turning
this
everything sideways on Tom's side of the field here.
this Haywire is going to gain 2 at some
Mm,
point just from its own natural death trigger.
right, that checks after we do the damage though. That does go
Yes.
on the stack. So if he has lethal here, that isn't relevant.
Collect the mundo. Oh yeah, look at everyone in the thinking phase.
I don't see a world in which you don't just slam the spear on the apparition.
It's interesting because
Come on.
instead we're gonna put it here and just have this now 6 trampling power.
I mean, Tom, I guess, isn't in a rush here. You don't have to win this turn.
Right, but we should be in maybe a medium rush, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think we could be attacking a
Yeah.
little bit better here.
I want to give Danny as few turns as I possibly can give them.
Indeed, indeed.
Less time for them to draw something nutter butters against me. As we see this Haywire Might doing just what we said, which is it's going to absorb 2 of the overall trample due to its toughness. Then it's going to die and eat up another 2 due to its life gain trigger.
So we're attacking for 6 total. So we don't even need to block with the Bowmaster.
Yeah, that's the thing is Danny can still keep some of these because they're not too worried about dying now.
Oh, it has Exile Touch, so the might
it
won't even die.
Because the Exile Touch.
Oh man.
That's a very, very good point.
That's
Sweet.
not how that works. It has to live to do the exile.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
real quick, real
Gonna
nice
have
check for our folks out there.
Producer Brad's gonna run out there and make sure we understand all of these interactions.
It's a very difficult moment. Does not come up a lot. Always good to check. We're big proponents of asking someone.
Asking for a judge is always in your favor. They're meant to help you, and they will help you. And if you don't like what they're saying, appeal to the head judge. What's going on there? We're going down to 1.
Yep.
What were they asking? It has to survive.
To get exile.
Because the exile touch only happens if the creature doesn't die in the literal combat. The Haywire Might died from the combat, tries to do the Cauldron trigger, but it's already dead. There's
I
nothing
see.
exile.
There you go. Danny down to just 3 points of life.
And needs a big draw here. And it's not Grist. And that's the game in favor of Thomas Holland III on Mono White Hammer, taking down our local boogeyman.
Our
and
long
Danny
time
Outlaw.
4-0 man, Danny Patron, losing to
Not
Hammer in the
today.
finals. Put up valiant effort. Tried to put a lot in Tom's way. Got stone brained in game 2. Got Surge of Salvation in place.
Ooh,
in the
yeah.
face of his Force of Vigor, Pithy Needle on
That Haywire
the
Might.
Haywire Might. Lots of stuff in his way there. Put up a valiant effort. Tom will take down the 4-0. Good job, Hammer Man. We
Job,
appreciate
Hammerman.
we appreciate you putting on a show for us. Before we head out, though, we're going to run through a quick couple of ads. Make sure to hit that follow button before you leave. We appreciate you being here. If you're looking for any of the cards that you saw in our game tonight, why don't you head on over to nerdragegaming.com. We have thousands of cards for you to purchase for in-store pickup or for shipping countrywide. If you don't see a card that we have in stock, add it to your wish list and get notified as soon as we list more, as we're listing more cards every single day. We also have a loyalty rewards program. The more you spend, the more you save. So hop on over to nerdragegaming.com and pick up some cards today. If you're looking to play in our store, not only do we have Magic, we have One Piece, Digimon, Pokemon, and Lorcana. Lorcana is the very last game. We have 5 different games that you can play, as well as other formats of Magic as well. If you're looking to play any of those, check out our weekly schedule tomorrow. We'll have Pokemon on our stream for our monthly challenge. We're looking forward to seeing you there. I think Dan will be back in the booth. Mr. Top 8 of RC San Antonio. Really glad to have him back. Excited to hear his thoughts on how that tournament went, so check us out for that. If you're looking to chat with any of the people that you saw here tonight, ask them about their deck list, ask them how they felt about being in the stream, questions about our league that's coming up. Join our Discord, use that QR code down at the bottom, and get answers to any of your questions there for stuff in store or Magic related. With that being said, though, that'll wrap up our coverage for tonight. It was our very last stream of 2023.
Goodbye, 2023.
Goodbye. Goodbye. It's been a wonderful year. We're excited to see what 2024 has in store for us. Dom, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being my wonderful co-commentator as usual. Chat, thank you for being you. We'll see you in the next year.
Goodbye.